Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome everybody to Morris Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka On Our Relationships, and today we got some very important information to relate to you. In my personal opinion, we're going to be dealing with our own relationships between the brothers and the sisters. Okay, this is for us. We are talking about us. We ain't talking about everybody else on the planet. We're just talking about blackbirds and blackbirds. We're talking about red robins with red robins. We're talking about sparrows with sparrows. We're talking about Mr. Pigeon and Mrs. Pigeon. Okay, we ain't all over the place. We ain't trying to mix up nothing. What they don't teach you in school about money. These are the two things that we're going to be dealing with. Are you the creator of your own reality? What is it they don't teach you in school? How do we fix our relationships with each other? What should we avoid in our relationships with each other? And what should we know about investing, okay, and money? So these are the things that we're going to deal with here this evening. And I always try to state my position on things. First of all, the way I deal with relationships is before I can have a relationship, the first thing I think I need to do is get myself together and prepare to be qualified with myself first, and then I'm in a position to move forward and try to have a relationship with someone else. First, I deal with me. I got to get the power, which is knowledge of self, knowledge of taking care of myself, my ancient story, who I am, my identity, all of that comes into there. And then I'm going to have to be financially in a position to take care of a woman and her children. Now keep in mind, I'm not talking about anything outside of my species. None of that. I'm only talking to my people, the ones who look like me, but our people. That's what I'm talking to. I'm not being racist against anybody. I'm just talking to my people. Okay? Now, and then after that, we're ready to deal with someone else. First, you get yourself together. Okay? Your money, your bank, your castle, your horses, your chariots, you get all that right there. You don't go get her or to help you get none of that. No. Wrong thinking. Get rid of that. Okay? Don't do it like that. That ain't the way to do it. That's not the way I was taught how to do it. Okay? But anyway, I'm only telling you about what works for me. Nevertheless, this thing about money, why is it that they don't teach us anything about money and accumulation of wealth and investment, the historicity of what money, how it came about? It, we don't get none of that in school. So we're going to deal with all of that today. And you didn't get it in school, but we want to know why and what we can do about it, how to fix the situation. That's what we're going to do, okay? Now, I'm going over here to my first commercial. We'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, everybody. October the 26th, right here in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida, the Black Vegan Fest will take place. Live bands, live entertainment, professional chefs will teach you how to cook healthy. If you are a vendor, go to www.urbangeoponics.org and sign up.
Bring your fishing gear with you. If you're a fisherman, we got the river right in the back of the property. We'll teach you how to grow your own food. Teach your children how to do the same thing. You'll learn how to prepare meals healthy. There'll be fun and games for the whole family. October the 26th, the Black Vegan Fest right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Don't miss it. Make sure you got some cash with you because vendors will be on hand and they'll be selling their wares. October the 26th, the Black Vegan Fest right here, Jacksonville, Florida. Don't miss it. Be here.
Okay, we're back. Now, we're going to start out with this money thing first. Okay, let's get with the money first. And you need to learn about money. So let's take a little quick glimpse in
I just want to educate the next generation. Like, it's about educating our people. You say, how do we fix that? We need to educate ourselves, whether it's financial literacy. I tell every athlete and entertainer, take 1 hour out a week and go online and look up financial literacy and see how you can better yourself, because we're not prepared once we get money. And that's why we point the finger, we get mad. They say, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil. And it kills, steals, and destroys.
The school system, they don't want us to learn about money because they just want to pump out good employees that do what they're told. I mean, if you look at school, it's opposite of what it takes to be successful in real life. Don't make a mistake. Do as you're told. Take tests by yourself. Don't cooperate. Do it by yourself. Do it on your own. And the last thing was, oh, there's only one right answer. No, there's tons of answers to a problem. So you come out of school scared to death of making a mistake. You do everything on your own. You don't cooperate. There's no synergy. There's no brainstorming. And there's only one right answer. Everybody wants to get the right answer. There's no one right answer. So I think people come out of school paralyzed. I think the school system is criminal in that it kills a child's spirit of learning. You know, a child goes into school all excited about, yeah, I'm going to learn and it's going to be great. And then the teacher says, sit down and shut up. Don't talk. We don't care what you're interested in.
What does school teach you about money? And the answer is nothing. And that's not a mistake. That's not an accident. I knew that. Most people know that. But the way to keep the poor and middle class working hard is never teach them what the rich know.
You will not learn about money. So everyone gets mad at the public school system for not teaching financial literacy. They do teach math. They do teach budgeting. They give homework all the time. But what they don't teach is actual money. And no school in America is going to get their kids a bank account. And that's why Gravy Stack exists. Because kids have to be dealing with real money. They have to feel the pinch of spending. They have to feel what it's like to make money and then donate it and give it generously to something else. They have to feel, oh, this is how hard it is to earn $1. That's how they learn the value of $1. So this is why everyone's mad at the public school system. I'm not mad at them. They can't do it. Sorry to say, you can't homework money. You have to do it. And that's why it's so important for kids to start creating value and earning at an early age. Have expenses to cover at an early age. Have investments at an early age. Learn to be generous at an early age. Not at school, but at home, around the dinner table, in the garage, out in the yard, earning in the neighborhood. That's how kids learn money.
Here are 5 things that school did not teach you about money. What is it? Open up an LLC to pay less in taxes. Should I call the cops? A job is not going to make you wealthy. So you're telling me I'm not going to go anywhere with a job? Open a Roth IRA the moment you turn 18 years old. Let me take some notes. Set up a trust to avoid probate court. But I went to school for years and I never knew any of this stuff. And if you want the last secret tip, comment interested below and I'll share it with you. I never left a comment on a video so fast. Where'd you learn all this stuff? It's simple. I follow Quick Peer CEO and he lets me know everything.
And it goes back to the question I have always asked, why doesn't our school teach us about money? Because Wall Street won't let them.
That's simple.
That's simple. My father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money?
Okay, we're back. Now, those are little short, quick tidbits, but that's some very, very powerful information. Because I'm going to tell you something. Now, when I was in high school, we had a period where we had to go to the auditorium. And these are the 11th graders and 12th graders. And when we get it, all of us together that was scheduled for class that day, we had to go into the auditorium. And this used to happen on a daily basis. But when we got into the auditorium, there was a teacher at the front of the auditorium. He told us, y'all come in, y'all sit still, be quiet, no running around, no playing, no loud noise, none of that. Just sit there through this entire period. He wanted us to sit there and just be quiet. We wasn't taught anything. What we are supposed to do is go in there, sit down, behave, don't make any noise, be quiet until the bell rang, and when the bell rang, then you can go to your next class. Isn't that something? So when I got out of high school, me and a friend of mine, we had learned about investments and business and stuff, and their buildings and stuff in our community. And so what we did was we went up to the school, and we say we want to talk to the principal. And I explained to the principal that about the period of class in the auditorium only. She said, yes, that's a part. Yes, we know about that. I said, but what me and this gentleman want to do is we want to come into the school during that time period, teach our people about money, investment, stocks, real estate, how to financially take control of our community, how to gain control of the real estate, how to invest in the small businesses that's right down the highway from us. We want to be able to come in there and do that instead of the students coming in there every day, sitting down, learning nothing, doing nothing, being quiet until the bell rang. She said, well, hold on a minute, I'll be right back. She goes in the back and she comes back. She said, well, we can't allow y'all to do that, even though I think it's a good idea, but our school curriculum says that we cannot allow y'all to come in here and teach those subjects that you're talking about teaching. I said, that's incredible. She said, I know, but I, as the principal of the school, I cannot allow you to come in here and teach this. Now keep in mind, me and this sister, we look just alike, and all the children that I'm talking about, all of them look just like. But they say we can't do that. Okay? Hold on a minute.
The school system is actually teaching people to be poor. The school system will never teach you about money. The school system is designed to teach you to be an employee or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money. My father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, I said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, it was probably taught to you. You know, your superego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever.
And until you change your mindset,
Correct.
Money won't help you, right?
Correct.
And we see that with people that win the lottery, people that make more money, they still have the same problem.
Right.
Because they have that poor man's soul.
Correct. If you're poor, you'll always be poor.
That's really hard for people to
Yeah,
understand.
the money will disappear that fast. Just like most pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, and 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families. Now you tell them that, they get very angry at you. It's the rich fault. It's you guys ripped me off, and government ripped me off. But unfortunately, what Mr. Lipton was saying, it's passed down genetically. The moment I pay you, you think like an employee. That's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. The moment you accept a paycheck, your brain goes dead. As long as you're hungry, you'll think. You see people say, well, why don't you give the poor money? So the only problem with that is it just creates more poor people.
Give a man a fish, he fishes for the day, or eats for the day.
Yeah, you give a man a fish, you get a lot of people who want more fish, But you teach them to fish.
But you are the Robin Hood of knowledge, because I see you giving this knowledge out, and do the rich people cringe and say, don't tell them that, Robin?
Yes. Don't tell people what you know. Right. Keep them poor. Poor will always be amongst us, because it starts up here. It's in their words, and the words become flesh. When they say, I can't afford it, or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. And I made so many people, I can't afford it. You think I'm made of money? My PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because this is an escape. It's an escape. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. When you could go to the gym. But no, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym.
And you play it safe, and you don't introduce new risks into your life, and so...
I have job security.
Right. And your rich dad used to say what instead of, I can't afford it?
How can I afford it? How can I do that? What would it take, or why should I do that? A question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. People say, well, money is not that important to me. Then if money is not that important to you, money is not important to you. You know what I mean? I don't care about money. The money doesn't care about you. The word does become flesh. Or I'll never be rich. Or the favorite one is the rich are greedy. It's the poor that are greedy. If you think about it, because to be rich, you have to give something. I have to produce books and games, and I purchase real estate, I provide housing, provide jobs and all that. That's why I'm rich. But greedy people produce nothing. Oh, no, it's the rich that are greedy. And I'm going, hey, sports fans, you point a finger forward, 3 are pointing backwards. And so, as we know, there's a big attitude problem against the rich today. We all have fear. To be truthful, we all have fear. It's just how you deal with it. Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, but knowledge empowers imagination. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. People who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Because spirituality is there's good and there's bad, there's right and there's wrong, there's up and there's down. Most people only want to be right, they only want to be positive. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Every time I failed, it was like, good. I said, okay, what have I learned? And the average person, the reason they're poor is they haven't failed. They play it so safe, they haven't made any mistakes like they taught in school. That means they don't learn anything. That's why the school system's actually fundamentally corrupt. It's anti-education. And I think what most people do is they let their parents or their friends talk them out of life. So afraid of failing. But failing is how we succeed. Our schools punish you for making mistakes. That's why we have so many people who are so afraid of admitting they make mistakes, or afraid of failing.
So don't just educate your child, make sure you extricate your child. Now, when you talk about educating your child on financial literacy, I mentioned that one of the things you want to continuously repeat is the importance of owning your own business, the importance of managing your money. Understand this. Corporate America does not want you to be financially literate. I truly, truly believe that. Part of the reason that most schools don't offer financial literacy is because the American economy is in very large part driven by consumerism. When corporations run ads and they convince you to go spend $200 on a pair of sneakers that cost $8 to make in Malaysia, they're doing things to manipulate your mind. They'll show you with these headphones on being worn by Lil Wayne or some rapper that you admire, so you somehow think those headphones are valuable even if they cost almost nothing to make. So that excessive consumerism, that impulsive buying, that appeal to your instinctual brain, surpassing the prefrontal cortex where you think logically, that is part of a strategy to get you to make decisions that are going to boost the economy, that are going to boost the 1%, but they're going to leave you as a corporate slave. That are going to...
What exactly is money? Why is it essential? Why aren't we learning about it in school? These are only a few of the questions that are probably running through your head when you think about money. In simple terms, money is anything that's accepted as payment for products and services. Despite the fact that we literally can't survive without it, we were never really taught much about it in school or paid much attention to it in the first place. Most people don't realize how important it is until they get to an age when they have to start working and barely make ends meet. Yikes. So, don't you think that it would have been great if we had learned about it in school? Yes, it would. Unfortunately, schools don't focus on how to make money work for you. They teach you how to work for money. Why is that? Today, we'll find out why they don't teach you about money in school. Let's dive right in. Money is the foundation of all life. We think we can all agree on that. Without it, how would our lives be? Even if we can't have it, will we be able to survive? Maybe on a faraway island away from urban life where you don't have electricity bills and have to hunt animals for food. Otherwise, no. Money might be one of the most important inventions ever created. Without it, we just couldn't exist. At the very least, it helps us meet our basic needs. Also, although this might sound like a cliche, money is a status symbol and is more important than ever in the modern world. Sadly, materialism is higher than ever these days. Nobody can deny that a person with a high net worth is treated with more respect than someone who doesn't. They are also more likely to have more power than the average person. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Larry Page are ranked 5, 7, and 10 respectively as the most powerful people on the planet. What do they all have in common? All of them fall within the category of the top 10 richest people on Earth. But Benjamin Jowett once said that the real measure of our wealth is how much we'd be worth if we lost all our money. Do you think we'd value Bezos or Gates if they didn't have so much money? Let us know in the comments below. There is also the coronavirus impact to consider. During the coronavirus pandemic, lots of countries stopped their operations. A large number of businesses shut down, and many people lost their jobs, with no way to put food on the table for their families. Product availability decreased, which caused prices to rise, giving money even more importance. There were several countries where it was difficult to find essential food and medical supplies. The wealthy may have survived without problems, but others without enough money were unable to survive the lockdowns and high costs. Yet they never prepare us for something like this in school. We characterize money as being essential to us, but sometimes we crave more and more and more. Why is that? That's because sometimes after we've spent countless hours working on making money, we like to unwind, eat at a posh restaurant, or buy something from the Gucci store. Technology, healthcare, and pretty much anything else you can think of change over time. But there hasn't been much of a shift in the school system in most of the world. We are still learning the same way that our parents did when they were our age. Money was not a subject included in the traditional curriculum. Forget about other classes. Not even business courses cover this subject. It's almost like there's a myth that kids shouldn't be taught about money at an early age. But think about it though. Wouldn't it be weird if you saw a 6-year-old with a $100 note? What would you think? Wouldn't you freak out because you know the kid probably won't know what to do with it? Sadly, no school makes an effort to teach kids about money while they are young, and that kid with a $100 bill will probably spend it on something pointless. Since schools don't teach us about money, we pass up the chance to discover one of the most important inventions humankind has ever made. Teaching children about money should always include lessons on how to use it to our advantage and live better lives. Money aside, we aren't even taught how to file our taxes. Most teachers didn't learn about it from school either. Ask your professors whether they had any sort of education about money early on as kids. We're sure many of them would say no. Yet they teach finance subjects and just tell us that a degree will open new doors for us and get us jobs. Doesn't that sound a little sus? Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki believes that schools should teach us how to be good employees because schools don't teach us how to use money to our advantage. Due to the large number of people competing for the same job, landing your dream job has become more difficult than ever. Additionally, many businesses aren't as loyal to their workers as they once were. An employee can be dismissed at any time without understanding what they did wrong. Even though it wasn't their fault, more than 10 million Americans lost their jobs because of the coronavirus, while some kept their jobs and worked from home. Sadly, many schools still have the outdated idea that finding and keeping a job aren't tough, so they still teach their students accordingly. Is it too late to start learning about money? No, because it's never too late. You may be wondering when it will be too late for us to learn about money, but the truth is there is always time. That's right. You can never go wrong with learning about the concept of money, whether you're in school or working a job. Even if you believe you're too old for it, you could always teach it to your children or grandchildren. Maybe it will be helpful to others, and they will not have to face the same problems that you did. And as Drake says, better late than never, but never late is better. So here are a few tips for you. Let's start with tracking and budgeting. How much did you spend in the past month? How about last week? Were you able to respond to those questions? If not, that should be your first task. We think the first step in changing anything is being self-aware of it. Start keeping track of your earnings and costs when it comes to money, and if you can, create a spending limit. Budgeting will help you become mindful of how much money you have been spending. We're pretty sure that most of your expenses weren't really worth the money. So learn how to set a budget for everything, from necessities to luxuries. This has to be one of the most important steps in financial management. You'll be able to see if you've been misusing your funds by just tracking and monitoring your expenses. Make it a habit to spend your money wisely by cutting out 90% of the things that you just want, in order to avoid being in a situation where you don't know where your next dollar is coming from or where your last dollar went. The next step is to find an accountability partner. Even if you have a monthly budget, you probably overspend the majority of the time. So get yourself a friend and make them your accountability partner. By doing this, you'll need to get your friend's approval before spending money on something that isn't absolutely necessary. Now everything rests on the friend, because if they say no, you won't buy it. Even though it may seem silly, doing this will have a major and immediate impact on your spending, which will help you develop consistency. If you can't find a friend to hold you accountable, you can also find a service like BeMinder or Supporty that does that for you, instead of relying on just a friend to become your accountability partner. Finally, here's the last piece of advice we have for you. If you are still having trouble with money management, you should look into opening a fixed deposit account with a bank. You will be making a one-time deposit of money into your account, and you won't be able to spend it no matter how much you want it. It stays there until its maturity date, which is usually after about a year. Also, just by leaving your money with the bank, you will receive interest at a specific rate. Not bad, huh? Alternatively, if you want to deposit funds on a regular basis, say once a month, you can open a regular deposit RD account. Most people open an RD account with the intention of never withdrawing funds. Considering they also get some free interest, who wouldn't want that? That's a wrap for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to watch our other awesome content.
All right, we back. There's a lot of good tidbits there. I tell you what, for those brothers and sisters that I deal with on a daily basis, because this stuff I teach every single day. Not all over just all over the United States, but in other countries as well. Last week I was on with London and working with them. Haven't heard from Hawaii in a while. Haven't heard from Germany. But nevertheless, I'm here. They know I'm here. And we deal with this on a regular basis. I don't think it's possible for me to continue to live my life without a monthly planner, because everything I do is planned, it's recorded. Even if we get rain, I write that down. Whatever meetings I got is recorded. Whatever investments I make is recorded. Everything is recorded. That way I can monitor my progress and what I'm doing. So let me hear from a brother down here about wealth. Y'all hold on a minute.
We want to complain, oh my God, I can't build wealth, I can't build wealth. The system was rigged for black people. I'm not saying black people, we have obstacles to get over, but daggone it, when are we going to start looking into the things that we're doing, the decisions that we're making that's preventing us from getting there? We can talk about systemic racism. We can talk about the obstacles that we're faced just simply because we are black people. I get that. I'm with that. But daggone it, what decisions are we making that's preventing us from building wealth and being able to pass down legacy to our children's children? What are we doing? Don't come to me talking about I can't build wealth and you got a $700 car note. I'm going to respectfully tell you, shut up. Don't come to me talking about, man, I can't do this, and you driving a brand new BMW? You could have went and bought a 4-year-old BMW, the same body style, the same functions, but you want that new car smell. What? Did you know that 25% of U.S. households are either unbanked or underbanked, leading to potential financial instability and difficulty in managing money? Having a checking account is a crucial step towards better financial management and independence. Start your health financial journey with Chime today. With the Chime checking account, you can take advantage of amazing benefits. And the key benefit, what I really do love, and you will too, that you can get paid up to 2 days early. Now, they do have to where you can avoid overdraft fees of up to $200, but additionally, Chime eliminates hidden costs. So no monthly fees, no minimum balances when it comes to specific requirements, and check this out, no deposit needed to become an actual member. You can just open up an account today. So don't be a part of the 25% of missing out on the benefits of the actual checking account. Sign up in just 2 minutes without affecting your credit score. Visit chime.com/TTAO to begin your financial journey today. Again, that is chime.com/TTAO. One of my good friends came up to me and said, man, yeah, my car note is $1,600. I said, excuse me? How much is your car note? $1,600. I said, you do understand that there are some people in America who are paying $1,600 for a mortgage payment for their home. You're paying $1,600 for a freaking car note? You're kidding me. I said, nah, bro. What did you get? I said, Jesus. When he told me what he got, I said, man, you bought that because you wanted the people to see you. You didn't buy that because that's what you really wanted. Not making $80,000 a year and you paying $1,600. $80,000 a year after taxes as a single man, that's $60,000 in income. $60,000 is like what? Only like $4,000 or $5,000 a month. There's no way in heck I'm giving $1,600 in a car note, not including car insurance on that car. That's $2,000 a month going towards a vehicle. A vehicle. So if you got a if you a no car note family like me, or if you're saying, hey yo, I hear you and I'm going towards that, like I don't want a car note, you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game. Which leads me to the next one, because when I hear this, man, when I hear this, it's pissed me off. Here's how you also know you're ahead of the game. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. Yep. You see, people with a $1,600, $2,000 car note, I would say the majority of them are living paycheck to paycheck. And here's why I will say the majority of them, because there are some people who are very wealthy who do not want to pay cash for their car, so they can honestly afford to pay cash for the car, but they choose not to pay cash for the car, so they have a car note. I respect it, not going to knock them. Not something that I would do, but if that's what they want to do, totally cool, respect it. But the majority of people who are actually paying that kind of car note, they're stressed. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So the fourth sign that you're financially outpacing your peers is breaking free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If you're able to cover all of your monthly expenses and still have money left over to save, invest, or spend on your passions, you're in a much better position than those who are barely making ends meet, you guys. This financial breathing room is a testament to your smart money management and long-term planning. Recent study came out and said it's like nearly right around 70%. I'm reading studies. I see some that says 68% are living paycheck to paycheck. I've seen some studies that says, hey, we're right around 70, I think it was like 77%. So I'm going to say ballpark figure. Let's just say ballpark figure in the middle. 3/4 of people in America today are living paycheck to paycheck. And why are we living paycheck to paycheck? Let's be real. Let's have a conversation. I'm going to lean back on this one. Make sure they can still hear me, CJ. If I need to move the mic, I'm going to move the mic because I want them to hear me. I don't want to sit up on this one. You know what I'm saying? They can hear me? Okay, cool, great. We're living paycheck to paycheck because of you. You're living paycheck to paycheck because you have not sat down and said, okay, cool. Where am I going? How am I going to get there? What's the strategies for building wealth? And here's the truth. You can't tell yourself no. Why are you living paycheck to paycheck? It's because you can't tell your girlfriend no, brothers. Everyone gets upset with me when I say, man, I'm not going to spend over this amount of money on dates. I went viral the other day because I said, hey, listen, I used to do that. I used to take my money out and go spend it on a chick. I'll go spend it on the chick, and I'll come back home and I'm broke because I'm trying to impress the woman. And all the ladies in the comments says, oh, he need healing. He need this. He need to get over that. You're right. I needed healing from myself. I didn't need healing from a woman. I needed to heal from the thoughts and, I needed to heal from not respecting my own daggone self. And I did just that. I refused to look good to everyone else and not come home and be comfortable. I got tired of coming home and being stressed and figuring out what am I going to do and having to work 2, 3, 4 jobs just to make ends meet in my own family. I got tired of working 2, 3 jobs and still asking my boy for some money, still going home and asking my parents for money. I got tired of that. And you know you're ahead of the game when you can sit there and pay all of your bills, still be a giver at your local church, still save some money and set some money aside for savings and for investing, and for property investing and for starting a business, and you still got some money in your account. You still got a fully funded savings account. That's when you know. But if your girl got a job and she come and ask you, girl, can I borrow $100? She's living paycheck to paycheck. If your homeboy comes to you and say, bruh, don't let me hold this. I'm not knocking these individuals. I'm not saying these individuals are horrible individuals. Here's what I am saying. They need to get on the right track. And if you are living paycheck to paycheck, I'm sorry. You're average. I'm sorry. But you can change that. I had to change it. I had to tell myself no. I had to. You have to build margin inside of your life financially. If you're making $10,000 a month, you should only be really having expenses and spending close to about $6 or $7 grand a month. You should have margin. margin. I've been blessed to, make the kind of money that I'm making now, and there's a lot of things that I've been really wanting to do, and I said, nah, I really enjoy the margin. It feels good to where last month we had a huge thing come up in my company, and I didn't stress, I didn't trip out because I had the margin. It still pissed me off because I like my money, but I was like, I got the margin. You know what I'm saying? We good. But if we was living paycheck to paycheck, month to month, oh no. No. We'll be stressed. We'll be frustrated. I will be pissed. I will be scared. And I told myself I refuse to be that individual that I live paycheck to paycheck. I refuse to build a culture to where my company, we're living month to month. I refuse to get married and tell my wife we got to live paycheck to paycheck. I refuse to be that particular individual. I don't want to be 75% of America. I want to be in the top 3%. I want people connected to me, team members and friends and family, to be in the top 1%.
All right, everybody, we're back. The brother said a mouthful, and I've run into that kind of thing. I've seen brothers ride down the street, and I know as loud as the music is coming out, the trucks and cars, that they done spend at least $2,000 or $3,000 on stereo equipment put inside a used vehicle that's so loud you'll think a nightclub coming down the street. And I'm trying to figure out, who are they impressing? Who? I mean, are all your friends wealthy? And I see you coming along, but I don't see another line of individuals behind you duplicating the same thing. I just see you. So it seems to me that you have invested this kind of money in a used vehicle to impress other broke people. Amazing. We're going to get down into some things that may help you in your thinking. Let's deal with some of that. And because I done ran into it. I done seen brothers spend their last $3,000, had to buy some of that to buy a used car, and then turn around and put $3,000 chrome rims on the used car to impress who? Other broke people? Come on, there's something wrong with the thinking. Let's deal with a whole different way of thinking. I'm coming at it from this particular position, and we're going to get down into other information, but I got to deal with this right now. We got to take this second.
My philosophy may also be described as positive self-image psychology. And I saw what was happening. They were passing out badges to black people that said, "We are poor people." Well, I'd gotten enough of being poor people. I wasn't going to, as my mother said, die poor pig. And too many black people were wearing poverty as a proud badge. And there were too many being put on the welfare plantation. Welfare as it was before Clinton, who was a better Republican, by the way, than the Republicans, because he reversed the welfare system and said point blank, welfare as we know it has got to go. Well, anyway, too many black people were being put on the welfare slavery plantation with the badge poor people, and given the idea that what we are supposed to do is demand that society support us. I saw that as a dangerous form of modern slavery. And it turned out that way, and it proved that way, because at Cabrini Green in Chicago, that notorious project that I think they just finally bombed and tore down. And all across the United States, there were generations of black people on welfare, knew nothing but welfare, and they thought it was their right. And I also said, welfare has its place, but don't make it a resting place. And no one has a right to be a parasite. And I believe that each person, including black people, each one should become a self-supporting, contributing member of society. And that was a very dangerous time when all of this dependency was going on. By the way, I was invited to the White House in the 70s during the Ford administration. And they offered me and my church projects from one end of this country to the other to take them over. But I saw what was happening. They were unloading the government's social welfare program on me, trying to. But homie, don't play that. And I said, no. I said, listen, I teach people positive self-image psychology. And you can't make better people simply by giving them better housing. It has not worked. I said, you take the poor people and put them in the Plaza Hotel in New York City and pass by there 10 minutes later. They will have impressed their poverty, negative self-image upon the Plaza Hotel. I said, I'm about giving black people and all people positive self-image. And if you see yourself as someone who is capable, as Jesse taught them to say and to think, that I am somebody. I have potential. I can make it if I try. I am responsible for myself to society instead of society being responsible to me. I'm responsible to become a productive, contributing member of society. And that's what I preached hard during the 70s. I listened to my childhood pastors, and even being a child, I discerned rather quickly that they were getting us ready to die and not to live. Our ultimate deliverance as black people, as was presented to us and as I discerned it, was ultimately we will go to heaven when we die. And we will get our pie in the sky. And that's why I came out with that old cliche that people quote of me. Don't wait for pie in the sky by and by when you die. Get your pie now with ice cream and a cherry on top. But back to my childhood pastors and churches. It was clear to me that they were preparing the people to die. And I would, as a matter of fact, I would become irritated when I would see people getting so happy and shouting over the fact that by and by, after a while, it will all be over. Every day is going to be Sunday. By and by, people would be so happy. And I, as a little child, would sit there and said, why are they so happy? I need some help now. I need help now. But to balance it and be fair to my pastors, I remember that they loved to quote that first verse from the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And of course, that's where I took issue with God. I developed what I call this calling God on the carpet ritual. I remember using it for the first time when I was in high school and didn't have 7 cents to go in the lunchroom that day for lunch. Oh, I don't know where those free lunches were. I don't know where Feed the Children and their big vans were at that time. But I remember that day, and I will never forget it, when I pressed my nose against the screen window of the lunchroom and saw my friends inside eating, and I didn't have 7 cents to go in. And I don't guess there was much mercy either. Except on those times when the lunchroom supervisor, Mrs. Stanley, God bless her heart, would see the hungry children out there and would say to the principal and the supervisor, "Let them children come in and eat." I don't know if you understand that Gullah
Oh yeah.
language.
Oh yeah, from Sumter. So what?
I said to God, I want to tell you what I did. What I told God. I called him on the carpet with my nose pressing against that screen window and my belly touching my backbone. I said, God, my pastors have been telling me, and it's in the Bible, that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Well then, God, why is it that I'm out here hungry? I said, now God, we are going to have to do something about this. I'm not going to serve you anymore. I'm going to shuck religion and the Bible and the whole bundle of it. And that's where I began to develop my ministry of prosperity, because I didn't think that that was the way. I didn't think we had to be in poverty and want.
But I also wanted to know how you then decided to air this ministry of prosperity on television.
Well, because here again, I was trying to be this bridge to bring colored people, and not only them, everybody. Just got a letter from a young lady in Australia that got one of my tapes from a bank president. And you see, this idea of positive thinking and self-motivation is interracial. But you know what I found also? A lot of people, a lot of the blacks just didn't think it was for them. Not even this message. Because they've been so used to the pie in the sky. You're going to get deliverance and freedom when you die. You know, you're going to fly around in heaven. And like that lucky old son, have nothing to do but roam around heaven all day. But that's not until you get to heaven. I spoke at the University of Alabama, again, back in the 70s. And a very sweet Christian lady from a nearby Christian college got up during the question and answer period and said to me, Reverend Ike, all of these blessings that you teach us about, good health, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money, she says these are wonderful blessings, but we're not going to get these until we get to heaven. And as I say, that's a fundamentalistic philosophy. Right. Not only the blacks, but fundamentalist Christians the world over. And so I decided to be that bridge to bring people from there. So I got in their faces, as I say. It's the lack of money that's the root of all evil.
Right. How would you say in the message of prosperity then, are there other ways to getting involved in or to gaining wealth, right? So that there is, at the same time that you're preaching prosperity, right, Martin King is preaching civil rights, and Malcolm X is protesting various forms of American capitalism, etc. How would you put your ministry vis-a-vis these other kinds of forms of protest, even against the government or pressing to get more inclusion in the government? Are all those things necessary at the same time as prosperity? How does that work? Or does thinking right and believing right, is that the main way of gaining access?
It all works together. I believe that a person's destiny begins with the way he thinks about himself. And since I'm also addressing a Department of Religious Studies at Harvard, let me use a little Bible here. Because the Bible says, as a man, I like to say, as a mind thinks, so is he. That's where it begins. And that's why Norman Vincent Peale appealed to me. And by the way, he got the same kind of reaction about positive thinking as I did about prosperity thinking. I remember one very eminent divine commented on Norman Vincent Peale's philosophy. He said, I find Paul appealing and Peale appalling. And so they found it appalling what I was saying. But the civil rights movement, with what Martin Luther King was doing, Malcolm, and all of the wonderful people, go all the way back to Frederick Douglass. And who are those ladies? Who was that lady? Harriet Tubman. Let's not leave the ladies out.
Mary McLeod Bethune, all of these women that were active and building an active club movement at the same time. So
I took a quote from Mary Bethune. Oh, how I enjoyed believe in her. She said, I believe in God. Therefore, I believe in Mary Bethune. And by the way, during the 1970s, I really had a big fight on my hands to keep the people from making a combination Prophet Jones, Father Divine, and Daddy Grace out of me. Now, it took a lot of conscious effort.
What were some of the strategies? No, first of all, how were they trying to do that? And then what were some of the methods that you used to resist this?
Well, there were those people who thought that perhaps I was more divine than the ordinary person. And this is where I developed my theology, which flew in the face of convention again. God is in you. And so I insisted to those people, there's no more God in me than in you. There's no more God, and this was blasphemy. There's no more God in Jesus than there is in you. And in fact, it was not Jesus' purpose to show us that he was God's only child and that the rest of us were bastards. Oh, how did that fly in the face of convention? You see how I earned my spot as a heretic. And that's how I kept that down. I would not allow anybody to think that I was more divine. Now, that's where we get into another bit of my teaching, consciousness. There are people who are more conscious of their divinity than others. And this is really what I try to do in my ministry, make people conscious of their divinity. And when you become conscious of your divinity, then you begin to express it.
So your response to some extent is a rejection of evangelical Christianity, which has attempted to focus black people's mindset on reaching heaven beyond death, as opposed to focusing on the here and now. So the question still is there any room for that conversation, that how to get to heaven when you die, that you said you haven't heard much from T.D. Jakes? Is that an important message? Is that something?
Not for me, because to me, you see now, my interpretation is that life is a matter of consciousness and states of consciousness. And to me, heaven and hell are both states of consciousness.
Okay.
And I remember when I illustrated it several times to my various audiences, and I said, nobody is going to dispute me when I tell you that you don't have to die to go to hell. Because most of you have caught some kind of hell in some kind of way. And everybody would, amen, amen. You know, everybody would, yes, yes, yes. So I said, by the same token, you don't have to die to go to heaven. It's a matter of state of consciousness.
So should people be worried about what happens when they die?
I say no.
Okay.
Only one thing you take with you when you die, and that is your consciousness, your self-consciousness. And your self-consciousness will take you to whatever is of its nature, to whatever is correlative with it. And you see, this is what I teach in mind science, my brand of it. And that's all that goes with you. I sent my soul to the other realm. Some lesson of the future state to spell. And by my soul returned and said, I myself am heaven and hell. To skip ahead just a little bit, when my public relations director in the 70s called me up and said to me, some reporter from Chicago had called him and said to him, why does Reverend Ike tell those people, Nixonian quote, that they can have these things when he knows that they can't? Well, I became a little unecclesiastical, and I said, Chuck, call that reporter back and tell him, I said, who in the hell does he think he is to decide that those people can't have these things? And I remember a 2-year stint on my radio program where I began the program with the cold statement, this is Reverend Ike. You can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do. You can have what you want to have if you believe in the God in you. I had crossed all kinds of lines because a lot of black and minority people didn't believe that they could or should have these things either. See, that's been a part of the job of my ministry, to convince you, get you out of the idea. And to me, that's salvation. That's my brand of being saved. To find out, yes, I can, as Sammy Davis's book is titled. And maybe we'll get into that on the next segment, because this is really something that we need to explore. How that idea has unfolded.
Right. So your ministry has always had a foundation in prosperity teaching.
Yes, and as I say, to give all due respect to my pastors when I was growing up, who prepared us to get to heaven for our ultimate deliverance, they gave me the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And that became my biblical foundation.
If it is against the law for the bank to loan out depositors' money to you, how could the bank give you a loan? And if that's the case, how are they able to keep their doors open? And in some cities, they have the biggest buildings in town. What happens to the person who deposits money in the bank? What do they receive outside of nickels and dimes in the form of what's called interest? How can you get paid? Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Fill out the Contact Us form, and I'll rush you my free report. Let's get down to the bottom of this situation. Let me show you what's going on in how to deal with it. Okay, TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Peace, y'all.
You got to question yourself when these men come up to you. Does he really love you, or does he just want to be a citizen? Be careful. There are too many predators out here who are out here to take advantage of you. Ladies, don't fall into that trap just to have somebody. Don't do it. You're better off alone than being miserable and abused by somebody that you just picked up because they wanted to marry you. If you have been with this evil being, the narcissist, you have to heal. And if you were raised with narcissists, you must heal those childhood wounds, or your life will repeat the horror that you grew up with over and over again. Those of you that have these deadbeat husbands, just realize something in you that needs to be healed so you don't attract these type of men in your life. You really can't change people. Your husband will have to want to change. And if he values his marriage, then he will. But if he doesn't, he won't. So ladies, if you're with a deadbeat husband, you need to think twice whether you want to continue the marriage or not. You have free will, and it is totally up to you. Don't shut yourself down just because you've had bad experiences in love. If you have, this lets you know you need to work on yourself. Blame other people or other circumstances why your love life is the way that it is. It's all about you. Love yourself first. To raise your love frequency, it starts with you. Once you love yourself and you are putting out that love vibration, you will attract love to you in all sorts of ways.
Okay, we're back. Now, we're going to take a little break on this. We're coming back with some more about your relationships and about money and what they're not teaching you in school, okay? But we're going to take a little break here because last time we was on, I was telling y'all about Jack Johnson and stuff, so I found a little bit that I hope you might get something out of that. So this is my verification of what I was trying to tell you last time. Y'all hold on.
Jack Johnson was a black man back when white people lynched Negroes on weekends. They would send him letters saying, you fighting a white man, and if you knock him out, we'll kill you. He said, just kill my black buggers, I'm going to knock this white man cold. I know I'm bad, but he was crazy.
This was the white man's crown, and everybody hated him for it.
Jack Johnson was a man 100 years ahead of his time. Born in 1878, Jack grew up in Galveston, Texas, in a racially tolerant neighborhood. While Galveston may have been an oasis of tolerance, the rest of the world was decidedly not. Jack Johnson was bold enough to attempt to declare his personal independence in a world defined by race. In his search for money, he didn't have to grow from the ground. Jack started taking part in events called battle royales. These were contests where several black men were blindfolded and made to fight while the crowds drank and cheered and placed bets with blood money. Jack learned to fight mostly without the aid of his sight. He learns to read his opponent's movements like Braille, and he starts winning these brutal, degrading contests with alarming consistency. Jack builds enough of a reputation blindfolded that eventually he starts taking and winning regular boxing matches. While boxing was less segregated than the rest of the country, a man of any race could earn a living assuming he could fight. Jack Johnson could certainly fight. The only title in boxing that was truly segregated was the heavyweight championship. While black fighters had claimed the titles at the lower weights, the discrimination against black heavyweights ran deep until Jack Johnson got too good and too loud to simply ignore. At the turn of the century, prize fighting was technically illegal. In 1901, he fights a veteran knockout artist in Joe Choinsky. While Choinsky beat Jack, they ended up in jail, sharing a cell for prize fighting. An enterprising sheriff saw an opportunity and snuck 2 pair of gloves to them so they could spar. It was in a jail cell where Jack was put through his professional paces. The sparring prisoners started drawing crowds, and the sheriff started charging to watch. Soon released on good behavior, and with a few new tricks in his bag, Jack would make his run at the segregated title. In 1902, Johnson makes his mark on the division when he upsets the 2-time former colored champion, Frank Childs. The next year, he faced off with the reigning champion, Denver Ed Martin, and beat him on points over 20 rounds. Jack Johnson's reign over the colored title alone made him a great. Many of his most difficult opponents he met in defense of the colored title. While he was proud of his accomplishment, Jack wasn't satisfied holding a title with a qualifier like colored in its description. As Johnson began his march toward the championship and the old guard of boxing closed ranks against him, the white champion Jack wanted to fight was a tank of a man named Jim Jeffries. By 1904, Jeffries had defended the title 7 times against exclusively white contenders. He retired undefeated, never giving Jack a shot at the title. Jack took that personally. The next champion was decided when underdog Tommy Burns won a 20-round decision over Marvin Hart. Tommy defended his championship 11 times before finally agreeing to fight Jack after he purchased ringside seats and started taunting Tommy during his fights. Burns was eloquent in his defense in taking on Johnson, spoke a quote worthy enough to credit him as the first true world champion. No venue in either the U.S. or the U.K. was willing to hold the fight for fear of a riot. The fight eventually found a home in Sydney, Australia.
With the understanding that if it got out of hand, the local constabulary would come in and stop the fight.
The moment Jack Johnson finally comes to grips with the white champion, he smiles a gold-toothed grin at the crowd. Every Jack Johnson fight was in front of mostly white crowds that showered him in racial slurs and threats of violence. Johnson smiled through it.
Within a few seconds, Burns was on the floor. Burns got up and was knocked down again.
Jack's mastery in the clinch made the champion a ragdoll. Tommy looked like a teenager trying to wrestle with his new stepdad. Johnson controlled every second. The film is stopped by local police the moment Tommy is about to hit the floor. For the first time in history, it was unquestionable who was the best fighter in boxing. The boxing establishment searched for a white man able to beat him. It took them 7 years. Despite the occasional arrests, Jack Johnson was the freest black man in America. He did what he wanted, and the white world hated him for it. He lived a lavish lifestyle of cars, clothes, and had his own ideas on what race relations should entail. Jack Johnson is credited with desegregating more brothels than any man in America. He opened 2 mixed-race nightclubs, and he married 3 women, all of them white. The establishment was so thoroughly offended by Johnson's conduct that calls grew in the press for the retired, though still undefeated, Jim Jeffries to return and put Jack in his place. When Jeffries agreed, the public was whipped into a frenzy by the event that came to be called the fight of the century. Even men Jack thought of as friends, like his one-time mentor Joe Choinsky, defected to Jeffries' camp to instruct him on Jack's tendencies. None of those people were in the ring to help Jim Jeffries.
Jeffries somehow found the will to keep moving forward. But Johnson's sharp, accurate punches were taking a devastating toll.
Jack's spiderweb of a clinch game held the ex-champion in place as he literally and figuratively carried Jeffries, saving him from knockdowns only to prolong the show and ensure there was no talk of a fluke or rematch. Jack did whatever he wanted to the formerly undefeated champion, and Jeffries was finally allowed to lose in the 15th.
Jeffries' side called it quits.
When word got out, race riots erupted across the country. Dozens were injured. 20 people died. Jack's biggest opponent would finally move against him. The U.S. government began to look at Jack Johnson for violating the Mann Act, a law made to prevent the trafficking of prostitutes and broadly enough to be used against anyone the authorities felt like deserved it. The words immoral purposes get applied anytime Jack leaves a state with his own wife in the passenger seat. He was found guilty by an all-white jury and sentenced to a year and a day. Jack skipped bail and flew to France. In Paris, the champion in exile is still defending his title. In 1914, he takes Frank Moran to a clear 20-round decision. Jack was never truly comfortable anywhere but the ring. Signs were starting to show that his intemperate lifestyle might be catching up to him. Jack would never again fight weighing less than 220 pounds. He was so famous that English troops in World War I began to refer to the German 150 millimeter artillery as Jack Johnsons due to their black smoke on impact. Jack Johnson finally meets his match in Cuba against the biggest white hope yet. Jess Willard was 6 foot 6 inches, 240 pounds of Kansas farm boy strength. Jack took training lightly, having seen the big man box. Jess was far from a classical boxer, and Jack was sure he could KO him quickly. Jack started to hammer on the anvil that would ultimately break him. Willard was as advertised, a lumbering target. But the 45-round distance was a marathon. Jack landed early and often, but try as he might, he couldn't get Big Jess out of there. The tide slowly begins to turn on the 37-year-old champion. Jess jabbed and punched with patience. And after 26 grueling rounds, he was standing, and Jack Johnson wasn't. Rumors immediately swirled that Johnson had thrown the fight for some insidious payoff. But who goes 26 rounds to take a dive? Johnson returned to Europe and mostly gave up. He was still fighting, but he was now up to 240 pounds, until he finally got homesick enough to surrender to American authorities at the border. Jack spent his next year in Leavenworth. Jack was never the same fighter, but carries out his career to a drawn-out conclusion in 1931. Jack Johnson dies trying to get a meal at a segregated diner that refused to serve him. Drives off in a righteous fury. High speed and indignant rage rarely mix well, and Jack wraps his car around a telephone pole. He was rushed to the nearest segregated hospital, but couldn't go the distance. At a time when black men around the country lived as second-class citizens, Jack Johnson lived out loud. His renegade pursuit of freedom would come to redefine what a black man could be. His defiant 7-year reign stands as a beacon for generations of exceptional black men at odds with a society that admired their talent but hated their skin color. He asked neither permission nor forgiveness.
Okay, everybody, we back. That was some of Jack Johnson. That's just a little smidget of you. You had to really get down into it. The videos are right there on YouTube. You can see the whole thing. The documentaries, part 1 and part 2, and you see the whole thing. Amazing, most incredible thing. But let's get on back down into these relationships. How you can manifest anything that you want to do.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. Today's topic is how to manifest anything you desire. How to manifest anything that you desire. Before we get started, I'd like to say welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to all the new viewers, the new subscribers, and welcome to you who have been with me from the beginning. I really appreciate you. Now to get us started, I did pull a short video. Let's watch this video, and we have a letter Then we're going to read this letter and dive into this topic. How to manifest anything you desire. Here we go.
Select it, project it, expect it, collect it. So let's give you an example. You're there and you're at a showcase, and all of a sudden you see this diamond necklace. Hypothetically, all right, you're seeing it. Okay, now you are seeing it, so you select it. Now you project it. How are you going to project it? You're going to see yourself wearing it. You're going to stand in front of the mirror, and then you're going to be at a social gathering, and people are going to say, "Oh, what a wonderful necklace." This is putting energy into this. And now you have already selected it, you've already expected it because it's here, and then you projected it, now you want it. Now you want it. So you project it. When you project it, that's when you see things happening. And I don't know how it's going to come about. Is your boyfriend going to buy it for you? Do you win it? Does your husband buy it for you? Do you have a lot of money and it comes to you because you've now selected it, and projected it. Now you can collect it. And it's
okay, let's read this letter. This young lady says, I have two neighbors, a young lady and her boyfriend. Not sure if they are married. However, they both were fighting, fussing, and banging on the apartment this whole weekend. The noise went from 2 to 100 in a second. Some of us as neighbors have told our landlord, but he still hasn't done anything about it. It seems like as soon as she lets them back in her home, they are outside acting a fool. I just want me and my family out of that mess. I was also told by the previous manager that quit working here, she has a loaded gun. So I guess you don't want to confront her if she has a gun, and if she's a fighting person, you don't want to be in that. If I could afford to move, I would have been out of here years ago. All right, let's look at this. How do you manifest anything? And what you want is a better life. You don't want to be in this situation anymore. You want a better living condition. This is what you do. First of all, sit down and gather your thoughts. Know exactly what you desire. What would make you happy? Visualize it in your mind. Do you need a nice one-bedroom? Do you need a nice two-bedroom? Do you have children? What's that situation? Do you know where you would like to live? Do you want to live in a city? Do you want to live in a country? Do you want to see grass and trees? Do you want to live in a tropical area? Or do you want to stay where you are but live in a better environment? You got to visualize exactly what you desire. And if you can find a picture that looks like what you desire, get it, cut it out, and paste it somewhere where you can see it. For instance, you can paste it on your bathroom mirror or on your refrigerator, places where you go all the time. You want to see it. You want this image to be in your subconscious mind. Okay? So every time you look at it, you feel happy. You feel joyous. Okay? Now, you must visualize yourself in that new environment. Having fun, walking around, whatever is there to enjoy, that's what you're doing. You and your kids are having a happy time in this new environment. Okay? And you hold on to that vision. Hold on to it, because that is the beginning of manifesting it in your life. Now, you said you can't afford it. Take that negative language out of your vocabulary. You can't dwell on the negative. You got to believe. So you don't say that I would do it, but I can't afford it. You see? You say, this is what I plan to do. Now, I know it can be difficult, especially if you have not done this before. But I'm going to tell you how I've done it. For many years growing up, I wanted to go to Sicily. I don't know why. I just had in my mind that's where I wanted to go. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I had no money. You know, my kids were young. But, you know, I kept that vision in my mind that I wanted to go to see Sicily. And it took years and years and years. And one day, my sister called me. And one of her sons was in the Navy, I believe. And he was stationed in Sicily. And she says, you know what? I'm going to visit my son. Would you like to come? I was like, yes, yes. This is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. This is something that I have always wanted to do. And guess what? I got to Sicily. Just like that. You see, when you're manifesting, it doesn't always come to you just like that. It's according to what your desire is. But if you hold on to it and keep that image in your subconscious, it will happen. And that's not the only thing. I wanted a new car. Didn't have the money. How can I afford a new car? You understand? What I did, I found the picture of the car that I wanted. I put it on my cell phone. So every time I'm looking at my cell phone, I saw that car. The car that I wanted. And so one day, my intuition says, go down there and see if they got those cars. The car that you want. Go down to the lot and look at them. So I went down to the lot and looked around and saw the car that I wanted. Right? Now listen, I had no idea I can afford this car or anything. I went down, looked at the car, got in the car, got the feel of the car and everything. Now, I don't see how I can afford this car. I really don't see how I can afford this car. But I went through the motions because I want this car. So a day or so after, my intuition says, go to your bank and see if you can get a loan to get the car. I did. I followed my intuition, filled out the paperwork, got the loan for the car for an incredible interest rate. I think the interest rate was down to like 7 or 8% or something like that. Very low interest rate to get this car. Got the full amount. Went down and got my car. You understand? Things like this happen. But you need to be on a higher frequency. You need to be on the frequency to match what you desire. And that is what takes some time. Because many times our desires are up here, but our frequency is right here. All right? You need to continue to be positive. Continue to visualize your desires and know that you can have what you desire. And you can manifest it. It will happen if you believe it. Because we have the power within us to have whatever we desire. But you got to believe it. But there is some sacrifice in it, and there's some work toward it. The working is to raise your frequency. That's the work. Always speak positive about what you want. Follow your intuition, because your intuition will guide you toward your desires. Believe in yourself, and you can have it. Manifesting what you desire in your life is not a difficult task. It's not. It may, some desires may take longer than others, but you can have it if you stay true to yourself. Follow your intuition, follow those nudges that you have to go this way, go that way, Talk to this person. Talk to that person, or whatever the situation is. Do that. But don't stay stuck in these situations feeling like you can't do any better. Now, in the letter, you talked about being in this apartment, and you probably don't want to be in that apartment anymore. Start visualizing you and your family in a house somewhere. Look up. Do better. Think better. You see? And before you know it, you could be in a new home, not living in an apartment. And you don't know how the universe is going to bring it to you. This is the thing. This is the catch about it. You see, many times people want to see how these things can happen in their lives. But to manifest is on faith. It's on faith that you can have it. You don't know how the universe is going to bring it to you. You have no idea how it's going to come to you. But it can come to you just out of the blue. Just like that. As long as you stay true to it. It's the way that you think and feel that can bring these desires into your life. And even if you desire a mate, it's the same thing. Visualize what you want. Now, a very important part of this is that you don't yearn for it. Once you visualize what you want, you have your picture, your wishing board, or whatever it is. You put it there, let it set in your mind, and then forget about it. Because you don't know how it's going to come. You don't make the roadmap for it to come. You see? And even with the car that I desired, I went out and I, fancied myself in the car, but then I just kind of let it go. And my intuition kicked in and told me, go to the bank and see what happens. Things like that. Now, sometimes when we want to manifest things, we want to make it happen ourselves. So we'll go out and try to push it to happen and to make it happen. And we are disappointed because it won't happen. And then we'll say, well, that was just a waste of time, a waste of energy. That wasn't it. When you hand it over to the universe to work out for you, then leave it alone. Forget about it. And before you know it, it will come into your reality. Don't sit around and worry how it's going to come, when it's going to come, and things like that. But you need to trust that you will be taken care of. You see, many times we sit around and worry about things, and that makes our situation a whole lot worse. Just sitting around worrying about it. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? How are we going to pay this bill? How are we going to keep the lights on? How are we going to get something to eat? Things like that. That's in a low vibration. It keeps you low. You rise above that and know that everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out fine. And as long as you have that attitude, things will. Because that's your belief. And your belief creates your reality. You want to believe that you can have whatever you desire in your life. You see yourself enjoying whatever you desire in your life. Whatever it is. And it can be yours. But don't sit and dwell on it and talk it down and be disgusted because it hasn't happened yet and things like that. Continue to find joy in your life, because when you are in a state of joy and gratitude, that's when these blessings flow. You always want to keep yourself in a higher frequency so that you will receive these desires and you will not be blocking them, because if you are living in a low vibration, that is a total block. Your situation isn't going to change as long as you're just sitting there complaining about your situation. But you need to go into yourself and realize the power that you have within. And you can change your life. Now, I do have a book that I'd like to recommend to you. And this book is Manifest Your Destiny, the 9 Spiritual Principles for Getting Everything That You Want. And this book is by Wayne Dyer. I will put a link in the description where you can get this book. And the 9 principles he talks about are becoming aware of your higher self, your intuition, and trusting yourself, trusting the wisdom that comes from your intuition. You can attract to yourself the things you desire, and honoring your worthiness to achieve. You know, some people block their blessings because they don't think they deserve it. You got to know that you deserve whatever you desire for it to come to you. Connecting to the divine source of unconditional love. And that is about raising your vibration to love, gratitude, happiness. And detaching yourself from the outcome. And what that means is you don't try to map out how these desires are going to come to you. You visualize it, you know it, you meditate on it, and you let it go. And that's how it comes. When you least expect it. And then when the manifestation happens, you show gratitude and appreciation for it. It's as easy as that, people. It's not difficult. I've done it many times, and you can too. So if you don't have this book, you need it, because this will help you with manifesting anything that you desire. If you want a different way of life, you want a different living situation, you need things in your life that you don't have, you can manifest it. So grab this book, take your time, and understand yourself, and you will be really happy with these 9 spiritual principles. There's no need for anyone to feel like they cannot do. You can do. You can do whatever you desire to do, but it's really up to you. And many of us, we have been bogged down and dumbed down for so long until we are fearful to step outside of our comfort zone. We feel like this is our lot in life and we have to live it out right here. And you don't. You don't. You have the power to have whatever you desire. You just have to believe it. Believe in yourself. Trust yourself. And get on your spiritual path. Because your spiritual path will heal a lot of wounds that may be blocking these blessings. And in the description, I do have a link, how to start your spiritual healing, and that's how I started. And when I started my spiritual healing, believe me, my life improved greatly, just greatly, and it continues to improve every day. I hope that you understand the message today. I really hope that it helps someone. You don't need to be stuck. You don't need to feel miserable. You don't need to feel like this is the best that you can do in life. You are an energy being, and everything in life is energy. All you need to do is attract the right energy into your life. And if you are living in a higher vibration of love and gratitude, these blessings will flow to you. So people, love yourself and cherish the life that you have been given, and live every day in appreciation. Now, those of you who may have a question that you'd like for me to answer, my email address is in the description. And if you're looking for today's affirmation, also the link is in the description. I want to thank you all for supporting this channel. Thank you for your comments and your letters. And a very special thank you to those that leave a donation. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best. And I really hope to see you next time.
Okay, we back. Positive information there. And I got to admit, she is absolutely correct. Because I started out a long time ago. I see my people standing up on the corners in front of somebody else's establishment. I see the brothers in the back of people's stores up under the tree, and they're just sitting there talking and playing checkers. And I said, well, man, this is too much energy to be just sitting there doing nothing. So I took my hard-earned money off my job, and I would go and buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of DVDs, blank DVDs, and record information for them. And I would get in my truck, and I would go around to all these locations throughout the entire city and give them information. I say, all you got to do, brothers, put this in here, and check that out, man. This right here is some very powerful information. This will help you. And, you know, and I kept doing it over and over. But then when I go around and ask the brothers what they thought about it, I said, well, man, I ain't got a chance to look at it yet, man. And but my cousin, he got it, and I got to get it back from him. You know, it's in there, and, you know, I got to get on it. But I said, well, look, I'm still investing all this money in all this right here, and this stuff still ain't working. I mean, ain't nobody doing nothing with the information. I'm bringing it to you, but you are still not doing anything with it. So I couldn't afford that. I had to do something different. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going on down into these relationships, man.
If it is against the law for the bank to loan out depositors' money to you, how could the bank give you a loan? And if that's the case, how are they able to keep their doors open? And in some cities, they have the biggest buildings in town. What happens to the person who deposits money in the bank? What do they receive outside of nickels and dimes in the form of what's called interest? How can you get paid? Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Fill out the Contact Us form, and I'll rush you my free report. Let's get down to the bottom of this situation. Let me show you how what's going on in how to deal with it. Okay, TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Peace, y'all. Let me make sure I got this one right also. Someone tells you that you must pay them money about your children in the form of child support. They also say they would suspend your driver's license. And they said they would garnish your wages. Who were they talking to? A debtor? Or did they make the mistake and say it to a creditor? When you got married, they say they was a part of that also. Request my free report at TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Let's have some fun. Fill out the Contact Us form for my free report, and I'll rush it straight to your email box. What about this banking stuff? What's going on in the United States? I tell you what, request my free report at TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Peace.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Vibrations. I'm Raven Geary. Today on our program, one of the hottest properties making the talk show circuit, Shahrazad Ali. An established writer indeed, Miss Ali is best known as the author of The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. A very controversial and, if I may say so, a very critical view of life of today's black woman. She joins us today in our studio, and of course we'd like to welcome you today to Vibrations.
Well, thank you, Raven, for inviting me.
Basically, it's your premise that the black woman is out of sync with the natural order of things. Can you explain that?
Well, it's a very sensitive subject, and certainly I believe that I have tried to approach it from a very sensitive angle. What I have actually said is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in the black family structure. It's not an attack on us as black women. It's just saying that in the breakdown of any relationship, both parties have to take responsibility. And as black women, we have been protected and insulated from any kind of examination about what our share of the responsibility is in the breakdown of the black family. My book represents the first platform, certainly, that the black man has ever had to air his grievances about the black woman, because no one would ever listen to him. They have only listened to us.
Can you tell us a little bit about the book itself? What brought you to this point of having to sit down and use your pen to write this book?
Well, actually, it was my first book. In 1985, I authored How Not to Eat Pork or Life Without the Pig. And at that time, I was going around doing what I was calling Get Off That Hog lectures. And during my travels, I noted that I would take the microscope and show people how you can't kill the trichina worm in pork by cooking it. Heat was not destroying the worm, and I would show them, the difference, and demonstrate how FDA was now using radiation to try to kill the worms in pork because cooking was not working, which is what we had always been told. And during that time, a lot of black men were in agreement to get off eating pork. They wanted to change their eating habits, and they were happy to find out some information that might possibly save their lives. But it was black women who were the most adamant, who refused to change meal planning techniques, seasoning food, cooking techniques. And so I said, well, it's interesting. I said, if we are refusing to provide the black man with the proper physical food when we know that food is what sustains life, then what else are we withholding from him? Possibly there are some other areas, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, that we are affecting his behavior by what we do or what we withhold and refuse to give. And that led me to try to find out. We've always heard that the black man leaves the black family, abandons his woman and children, won't take care of the children, won't work, stays out all night, turns into a drunk, takes drugs. We've heard a lot of negative things. Most of them are true. But I wanted to find out what happens before he gets to that point. What leads up to the breakdown? We've never gone back to try to find out what happens in the relationship between the black man and a black woman that makes him go off and do all of these bad things. To assume that this is just normal, natural behavior for black men would be to assume that he is naturally bad. And I do not believe that the man that God gave to us as a mate is a naturally bad person. And so I wanted to try to examine what goes on with him. What's his side of the story?
Did a black man ask you to write this book?
Oh, no, certainly not. I think they were just as surprised as black women. Many of them approached the title of the book with a little apprehension because they have not had a champion. We have never had a black woman who actually stood up and said, I'm standing up for the black man's side of the story. We know what our side is, and both sides are true. We have done some very dreadful things to each other. And I don't exonerate black men, which is kind of a misconception that people have. I just say that we know his side. What about our side? And we do have a side. We have adopted some wrong standards. We are judging our men many times by the wrong value system. We are using his children sometimes against him. We have been told that the only benefit that a black man provides in a home is money, and if he does not give us money to take care of those kinds of financial provisions, that he has no value. And what my research has proven to me is that a black man, any man in any home, provides much more than financial support. The man provides guidance, instruction, discipline for the children, which we sorely need in our black homes. He provides gratification, fulfillment, protection. I mean, there are so many other values, and these values are the ones that are missing in our children today, which is why many black children are in the street, out of control themselves, disrespectful, don't have any regard for anyone. And most of us are scared of them, and everybody else is, because nobody has a way into them to try to gain any control over them. So I maintain that a return to traditional family values, certain clearly defined gender responsibilities for black men and black women in running a home and a relationship will help us to produce a better child. And if we produce a better child, certainly we'll have a better future and a better nation.
And saying all of this, and as calling yourself a champion and having, if I may say, the courage to write this book and stand by it, you've caused a stir. This book is very controversial. What are you hearing from public reaction?
Well, I don't think that it's an issue among black women about whether or not the book is true or not. The issue is that I was not supposed to tell these are inside secrets and things that we have never let our men know about. And many times what is that we say? He can't handle me. Well, many times he can't handle us because he doesn't know what it is he's trying to handle. He doesn't understand what motivates us. We have become very adept, many of us, as being able to do something right in front of his eyes and then convince him that that's not what he really saw at all and that it didn't happen. So we've kept him kind of confused.
Excuse me. Do you realize that there are many bookstores, and in particular black bookstores, that have refused to carry the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman?
I think that that's been overblown. Right now, the book is carried in over 5,000 bookstores here in this country and about 2,000 abroad. The book is becoming a bestseller in London. And to date, we only know of 2 bookstores in the entire country who refuse to carry the book.
May I tell you that there is at least one in Tallahassee.
There may be, but
and
they're lost if they're doing that.
The response we got from that book owner was that your book had nothing, absolutely nothing constructive.
Was that a woman who gave you those comments?
Yes, it was.
Oh, how surprising. Okay.
Let's talk about some of the things that seem to be upsetting people or that people are talking
there
about.
certainly have been a lot of things taken out of context. Anyone who's ever looked at me or seen, witnessed some of the talk shows, they actually exploit a lot of issues. They take them out of context. They want to sensationalize them to build up their ratings to have a good show. So I really appreciate this opportunity to just sit down and have a fireside chat about the book.
Well, I'm glad
without all the fireworks and everything.
You say black women, and I quote you as saying, nag, 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 and that we are essentially responsible for pushing our men away by doing
a
so.
lot of times we take a position because of our own emotional mechanisms. We harass our men too much. We nag our men too much, and we keep his mind and his head so bundled up and bogged down with all of our personal idiosyncrasies about our day-to-day personal relationship with him that a lot of times we don't free his mind up to go out and to plan sanely for our future and for the future of our children. Many of them come to us every day and they almost have to do a wind test. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who they're going to meet because we have a lot of reactions. We tend to think as black women that a successful relationship and one where we're happy is one where everything goes our way. And the first time it goes another kind of a way, then we go into hell, turmoil in our brain, and we start deciding, oh, I've got terrible problems with this man. He won't do what I want him to do. When our men have a side.
Let me give that side according to Scheherazade Ali, okay? You say in your book,
okay,
and I'm quoting you, okay, the black man in America is the only male on earth, including every continent, who is disrespected by the women in his nation.
That's true.
This situation does not exist anyplace else among the billions of people inhabiting our planet except here in America.
That's right.
The other black men, the yellow men, the red men, the brown men, and the white men are all honored and respected by their respective nations. All other women recognize and accept that the man is the authority, the ruler, and the leader. Only here in the United States, in the black nation, scattered throughout the United States, is the black man neglected. That's pretty powerful.
And it's absolutely true. We have been displaced. A lot of us don't really understand what slavery actually did to us and how much psychological trauma it did to us regarding what our proper roles are with each other, what our responsibilities are as man and woman in our various communities and relationships. We have never been debriefed from slavery. Not really. We have just, we know we had that history, but we don't know how it affected us. We don't know how much of our actual culture we lost, how much of our ideas were taken from us. We know that our religion was taken from us. We know that our names were taken from us. But we don't know how many other standards of day-to-day life have been removed. And while we have adopted the American way of doing things, they have not worked for us because we have a very special situation. We are not the same as everyone else. And a lot of the people who want us to pretend that slavery didn't exist or to forget about it, they've never been a slave. So they don't know what we're going through. They don't know what this has done to us. It has made us as black women insecure.
Why not? If that's true, why not take up for us? Why not write something that says
we've had everybody to take up for us, and we've always had books about black women. how great and how strong we are, and we are that. I'm just saying that we have used our strength in the wrong direction. We have used it against our men instead of standing up for them. And if we start to support our men and to speak a good word for him publicly, then so many people won't be able to come against him and tear him down, and he won't have to feel so frustrated, and he won't be outside away from us looking for peace of mind with women of other nationalities, because we actually want our own black man. We need him back in our homes, and we want to have one. We're just living in a culture where they're trying to convince us that not only do we not need a man, but there's some other options to having one, and those options mainly are celibacy or lesbianism.
There's an old saying that says charity begins at home and spreads abroad, and
Absolutely.
in your book you say that we are not bringing up our daughters and our sons in a correct manner to respect their father.
No, we're not. Unfortunately, as I say, since money has been used as the measure, many times if a black man does not have money to give us, we won't even let him see his children. We won't let him spend any time with it because he does not give us whatever the child support is. And I'm not saying that we don't need money to raise a child, but I try to explain to black women that raising a child consists of much more than feeding, clothing, and sheltering it. That's maintaining one. To raise one, you need a return of the parental coalition of the father and the mother to put the proper values into the child. Many of our boys, when we raise them alone, they grow up with the female emotional mechanism. They are suspicious, they are doubtful, they are disrespectful of womanhood, they are bitchy, they can't make a decision. And many of our girls who grow up in a home where there's no man present, they go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have any idea how to live with a man day to day, how to prepare a proper meal, how to be a mother, how to just be in love in the home. Most of what our people and our children especially have learned about how you have a relationship, they learned off of television. And television doesn't represent our needs. And so a lot of the confusion has come, you know, from outside agencies that we have not recognized just how detrimental it has been to us as a people.
Can I play devil's advocate for just a moment?
Well, I wish you wouldn't, but I know you must. Go on.
What if I am a good wife, his home is clean, his kids are fed, I'm making sure they're well educated, I help them with their homework, I'm a good lover in bed, I help him with the finances, and I say, look at that, he still took a walk.
Well, that's something else that's been confused about my book. I advise black men and black women. I certainly tell men that if you are with a woman who you have been with for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 6 months, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and that woman refuses to cooperate with your ideas, does not want to get with your program of right, whatever it is, then I tell those men, get rid of that woman and get another one. And I tell black women the same thing. If you are with a man that you cannot be in agreement with, then get rid of him and get with a man that you can be in agreement with. If the man you're with is not treating you the way that you want him to, and you feel that you have put in enough time to demonstrate your commitment and your sincerity of efforts to try to make the relationship work, I don't tell people to just stay in that relationship. I'm trying to teach us that we waste a lot of time being angry with each other and being dissatisfied in relationships. Get out of it and get with one where you can be happy.
You say that the black woman would like to be a clone of the white woman.
Many of us, yes. That's unfortunate.
How do you see that?
Well, that's something that was almost accidental, I'd have to say. See, the white woman has been the only mentor that we have had of a female. We've seen her every day of our life on television, every magazine, every newspaper, every commercial. You know, it's just been her face, her body, her image, whatever it has been in front of us. And so today we have the results of that. We have black women who are trying to dye their hair blonde, who are wearing blue and green contacts in their eyes, you know, who wear tons and tons of layers of makeup, who have changed their voice, who have hair weaves so they can have flowing long hair blowing in the wind, you know, like Brooke Shields or somebody, you know. And so that's been an accident. And as a result of us doing that, we have also adopted the women's liberation movement goals of wanting to be liberated from the man and have some kind of pseudo-equality, when while that may be true of the white woman and her plight with the white man, that's not really the black woman's business, because we haven't been under the control of the black man for over 500 years. So what do we have to be liberated from him from?
But is there something wrong with trying to make yourself look better or more
well,
appealing?
It depends on what standard you're using as being the goal of looking better. You know, if we think to look better is to put on a ton of makeup and have blue eyes, then there's something wrong with that. You know, but if we think that to look better is to certainly get a better spirit in our heart and to work every day to become a better wife, a better mother, better friend, better sister, then those values and attributes alone will make us more beautiful than we are now.
How do you feel about the fact that many people accuse you of wanting to see the black woman at a point of submission? Is that where you want to see a black woman in the 1990s?
Well, it depends on how you define submission. Those words have a tendency to have a negative connotation for us because of how they were used against us during slavery and what we connect them to. But actually, the kind of submission that I'm referring to just means cooperation and agreement. I don't think that anybody could say that I represent a woman who is subjugated in any kind of way. I don't think that anybody could say that my personality sounds like some man has me somewhere crawling around on the ground or walking 10 paces behind him. So I'm not representing that. I'm representing strength. I'm saying that we have a lot of power. We have power to make heaven and hell for our men. And I'm saying let's try making heaven. Let's try to build him up. If a man has his woman behind him, he will believe he can do anything. And all we need to do is to get our men to believe that they can do anything. And he'll be able to, do much better than he's doing now and come out of the pitiful condition he's in. As I said, I'm not exonerating him. I'm just saying that all of that strength that we have, let's use it in a more positive way instead of just going for self. Nobody told us that all of that being my own person and I'm independent would lead to separation and loneliness. But that's what we had to trade for that. In order to have certain kinds of success, we had to give up the man because we can't find a man who will compete with us on that level. As I said, we say he can't handle us, or he's intimidated by the fact I make more money than him. I think that by judging our men on how much money he makes, we have lost a lot of good men. Because as black women, if we decide that all of us are going to just determine whether or not we're going to have a man based on how much money he makes, then none of us have no man. Because most black men don't have no money.
There are many men
Not a lot of money.
There are many men out there who don't want a woman.
That's absolutely true.
Who is not gainfully employed.
That's
just
true.
Works both ways.
And one of the things that I have always explained about that, Raven, is that for my lectures, which I do all over the country so I can give black people some ease and take some of the hysteria out of our communities that the book seems to have caused, I have security guards, not because of black women. We're going to do just what we do. We're going to fuss and we're going to cuss and do a little something, But I have it because of black men. Because the black man's guide to understand the black woman puts the black man on point. And it reminds him what he has allowed to happen to his woman and his family. Many black men become intimidated. They don't want to take responsibility for their women. They don't want the challenge. They don't want to be put on point. So they become overwhelmed. And it's them that go off. That's why I have security. Because most men know that this book puts the black man on point. It just talks about what slavery has done to the black woman, but it's really telling him what he has allowed to happen.
Let's go back to the book for just a moment. According to you, there are 3 types of black women.
Yeah, they overlap a little bit.
Can you define it just very briefly for us?
Well, we have, I kind of number them, I think, as 1, 2, and 3, and I would call them lower class, middle level, and so-called upper class, and we certainly have to acknowledge that we have those levels in our society. We see them every day. That is not a put down to recognize that we have a lower class woman who perhaps lives on the street, who is an alcoholic, a bum, who is outdoors, who is subject to abject poverty as because of a lack of education and proper training and personal hygiene and other kinds of information. She exists, and we need to reach her and try to raise her up differently because many of these women have children, and we have to be responsible for them. We have the mid-class women who are the number 2s, and they're kind of average. They try to do better than the lower level. And then, of course, we have the number 3 class, which is the so-called successful, black woman who is tripping about the fact that she generally has a big job and a credit card or something, We do a lot of
black women accomplish something?
Yes, I absolutely do. But if we can't accomplish saving our race, then we have not made an accomplishment. We are looking at our man become endangered. He's already endangered. Over 60% of us are single, widowed, separated, or divorced as of last year. And so we're not together. And there is one monolith in the black community, Raven. If we don't reproduce children, then our nation, our race is going to die out here. And so we sometimes tend to look at black men and say, yeah, they're in this bad condition, and we act like they're going to die out and we're going to live on. But that's not the way it's going to go. If the black man dies, all of us are going to die because he actually is the backbone of our nation. We can't produce a baby by ourselves, and going into other nationalities still just erases our nation. And I'm trying to get us not to do that.
You have problems with interracial marriages.
Yeah, I'm not for that. Well, because of the fact that I think that God made a male and female of every nationality so that they could mate and reproduce. And I think in our particular case, a lot of us try to run to what I call race denial by trying to marry into other nationalities to try to get away from our own heritage. Many black women do that, and certainly many black men do that. So I'm trying to get them to get back together and stop trying to marry and go into other races and infiltrate them with some of the nonsense that we bring as a result of our sad slavery history.
What if a woman says to you, well, I was alone, and he came to me at a very vulnerable point in my life, whether he's Hispanic or from the Middle East, or he's white, and Caucasian, doesn't matter, and she just says, he came to me at a very vulnerable point in my life, Scheherazade, and he's good to me, and he takes care of me.
It's not necessary for people to confess to me. I tell people all the time, I'm not taking a poll. This book is about self-examination and personal development, and if after reading this book, she thinks that she is still in the right place, then I don't have any control over that. I'm not out here as a judge. As I said, I haven't set myself up to say I'm the perfect black woman. Everyone should be about me. I have the same problems that all the rest of y'all got. I'm just trying to work with it, and this book is so brutally honest. We've never had anybody just straight talk to us about our personal problems, what happens inside the black home after the door is closed. And we have had a tendency to think that it's some kind of secret, that nobody recognizes, that we don't get along. And we tend to think that somebody is going to pick this book up from some other nationality and think that all black women are like the women that I describe in this book. That's totally impossible, because the things that I describe are visible and they're audible. You can see them or you can hear them. So nobody's going to mistakenly think you do these things if they don't see them or hear them coming out of your mouth or out of your actions. So there's no danger of people thinking that all of us do this.
Scheherazade, there are a lot of women out there who think, you don't like us, you don't like black women.
Oh, yes, I do. I love black women. I'm a black woman myself, and I got 5 daughters and 4 sisters, so that would, be ridiculous of anybody to assume that. As I said, we have just never had anybody challenge us on our behavior. We've never had anybody to say, well, let's look at what we do. We know what he does, and he's wrong in a lot of what he does. But his wrongness, his guilt, does not ensure our innocence. We have a share in the problems that we have in the black community. And just because we are dressed up and have a job does not mean that we don't practice some aberrant behaviors that end up infecting our homes and breaking up our relationships with our men and helping to hold him down. That's all I'm saying. So everyone can look at themselves. Every man can look at his own woman. This book has brought a lot of people together. This book has reunited a lot of couples who now understand what happened in their relationship. It's required reading in 15 historically black colleges and 10 white colleges. Everyone must study what slavery did to the black woman. We have never looked at it as an independent study.
May I ask you, on what do you base your information?
Just research, being a black woman myself, living here in the country, and I interviewed over 3,000 people. I interviewed 379 black men who were married to or dating white women, over 100 black women who were married to or dating white men, and a little over 2,000 black men and over 1,000 black women. And what I found is that we don't have a control group. There was no point in me listing all of their names, because we don't have one set of Negroes that we could point at and say, okay, well, this particular group is not affected by slavery. All of us are affected by it. We just have not been able to identify the manifestation of that behavior and be able to trace it back to what the root was and how we got that way. A lot of the behavior we practice because it's trendy, it's popular in this country, and so we think that that's just the thing to do.
Do you fault the black man for anything?
Yes, absolutely. I fault him for lying.
For lying?
Yes.
About?
All kinds of things. He won't tell us the truth about his life because he knows that we can't handle the truth. And so he will lie to us about his activities and his life because it preserves the peace for him, he thinks. But we know that lies don't build a relationship. They create doubt, suspicion, and fear. And then we exhibit those behavior traits. And fear in the female is always translated as hostility. And so, see, it's a locked-in circle that I'm trying to get us to look at, how these things are connected and what they produce. A lot of the anger and frustration we have at each other is really not even at each other. It's about our conditions. It's about something that's almost been genetically sent down through our womb because our men were not able to protect us. They were not able to keep the slave master from snatching our babies out of our womb, to allow us to have food or clothing. A lot of different kinds of things that happen to us that just make us tremble. They make us frightened. And so now it's to a point where everything that the man does, we have our total emotional balance, our self-esteem, our self-respect, everything that we stand for as a female, we have it tied right now to our men's genitals. And it depends on what he does with those, about whether or not
let's
we
talk about that for just a moment.
See, this is an intense topic.
Yes,
I just never get a chance to explain
One
it.
thing that I read over and over again in your book was
I know what that is.
regarding infidelity. And let me just make this here. You say in your book, there is no history of the black man settling down with one woman and never desiring to have another. Before slavery, during slavery, or after slavery, the black man has never been recorded to have just one woman.
Right. Well, I think there's some actual facts we can look at on that. Monogamy has failed for the white man in America.
But this is like saying it's okay.
It's not me saying it's okay. This is how they're living. I'm giving you the history of what their life is. Black men haven't been waiting on me to tell them it's all right to have more than one woman. Neither have white men. You know, this is just what they do. I'm not talking about fornication and adultery. I'm not talking about one-night stands and running around rampant with other women. That's not the kinds of, when I say more than one woman relationship. I mean that before we came to America, our men had more than one wife and family. And we were satisfied with it because we had not met the monogamy idea. We had not met the American white woman who, you know, insists on certain kinds of values in her man. We had not learned envy and jealousy. All right, after coming here, those kinds of ideas were bred into us because of society and the mores that the Americans made up here. And so then we started to have problems with that. But I think that since it is apparent that most of them, not all of them, it's certainly up to the man, do love more than one woman. I got tons of mail. A lot of black men write and tell me that they have had two women for 5, 10, 15, and 20 years, and they can't even get the women to speak to each other. Sometimes they have two families.
Would I want to talk to a woman who's sharing perhaps the bed and the money and the social life with who I would deem as my man?
If you want to deal in reality, and if you are not insecure, and if you don't think that that robs you of something, you would want to know them. If he loves her, you certainly should want to know her.
There are a lot of black women out there who say,
I know they're mad about that idea. I understand, you know.
That would never hold water.
Wait a minute, that's not easy. And that's a frightening thought to most of us. And I don't like that. I'm not for that. I'm in agreement with everybody else. Our men ought to just have one woman. But that is not the reality. I'm trying to get us to deal with some reality for a change. Stop dealing with fantasy. Stop dealing with television. Stop dealing with imagination of how we wish things were. Let's deal with them how they are, what it is, present tense. And
but
if we
because
deal with
that's
that,
happening doesn't mean I have to like that or want to
No, that means that you can live in hell. That means you can live in doubt. That means that you can always be checking on your man. That means that you can be insecure and be, tearful. And that means you can be disappointed when you find out the real truth. And you don't want to have that in your life. None of us do. But in order not to have that, then we have to deal with some reality and recognize that men are not limited in the way that women are. Men are able to love more than one woman. I'm not talking about, as I said, just a random sexual relationship of fornication and adultery and all of that. I mean that there are many black men who have children by more than one woman. What is to become of those children? They need their father.
Now, you say that once these relationships don't work and they start breaking up or things start going bad at home, you say, she will cry and seek sympathy. During this period, the black woman will remind the black man of everything she has ever done for him.
Yeah, we do that.
She will try to make him feel guilty and ashamed of his decidedly outrageous behavior.
Absolutely.
She'll let the house go, and I quote you, to hell.
That's right.
She may stop cleaning, ironing, washing, and cooking.
And we withhold sex. That's a real tool we use. We do that.
But if you would cheat on me or walk out on me...
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. We have to get into definition. Who told us that was cheating? Where did that idea come from that that's cheating? And I'm not saying that a lot of men are not just running around. I'm not talking about that. But if a woman finds out that her man has been with a woman while she's been with him for 3 or 4 or 5 years, that's a serious commitment and relationship. And if it hasn't taken anything from me, if I'm not going short of anything, and if this is what he thinks his responsibility is, then what kind of hell are you going to go through to prevent that? Since we cannot stop him, we have not been successful. The white woman has not been successful in stopping the white man from having another woman. They called them a mistress. We pick up a lot of that terminology. But a man who has 2 women, that's not necessarily a mistress. That's just his other woman. Now, we got 2 choices. We can be the woman or the other woman. We don't have but those 2. Now, I know we don't like that. I don't like that, you know. But that's the reality of our life at some point. Now, it's up to the man. But every man doesn't want 2 women, but those that do, they're going to do it.
What about our morals and our religion?
Whose religion? Whose morals? Not our religion, because we're not practicing the religion of black people anymore. That was taken from us. We don't have our morals anymore. That was taken from us. So whose idea are you representing when you stand up for those values? Not ours. Somebody else's. Some other nationality. And it may work for them. But it doesn't work for us. It hasn't worked for anybody, really, but nobody wants to deal with the truth. Monogamy was only created because of the economics of it.
The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman has been out for, what, over a year now?
March the 20th will be the first year anniversary. And for that anniversary, I'm releasing my new video. And the video is called The Black Man's Guide on Tour. And it is exciting.
I would assume it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's hot, I tell you.
After writing this book, just take a moment before you answer.
Okay.
Do you regret anything about what you wrote? If you had the chance to do it all over again, would you perhaps soften some of the things that you said?
No, that doesn't require any in-depth thought. I've been asked that a lot, of course. No, I wouldn't, because, see, we always want some kind of instruction and help to come to us that doesn't affect the status quo. We want somebody to tell us some information or give us some instruction that doesn't require us to change. Okay? Mm-hmm. This book requires change. And one thing this book has done that I have really been pleased with, it has certainly reopened communications. And a lot of us as black women, because of what here seems like it's just so radical, are willing to make a lot of concessions now and cooperate a lot of other kind of ways to keep from having to do any of these things that I list in here. So I have letters from black men who just write and say, listen, thank you. My wife is cooking better meals now. I have letters from children that say, thank you. My mother quit her second job. She's home with us now at night. I have had black men walk up to me on the street in New York and reach out to shake my hand and say thank you and just burst into tears and say, thanks, hey, I thought I'd never live to see the day.
Not to jump on your case or anything here, but just to say in defense, how many of those women are afraid of an open-handed slap in the face? You've been accused.
You know, that's a terrible thing.
You have been accused of advocating violence.
No, see, that's a misconception. I'm trying to stop violence in the black community. Now, we know, Raven, that domestic violence is at an all-time high in the black community. Black men currently are kicking us, blacking our eyes, knocking our teeth out, stabbing us, shooting us. They're doing a lot of horrible things to us. All right? So what I'm trying to do is to put some direction on that. One of the problems we have is that we don't know that change happens in degrees and stages. So if we just tell our men, don't hit women, they're not going to do that any more than they're going to say no to drugs. You know, that doesn't work in that way, just to give that kind of instruction. So let's first put some controls on it. Let's get our men to recognize that they don't have to go off and brutalize us with their fists and hit us with weapons and kick us in the stomach and hit us in the breast.
But it's okay for him to hit me with his hand?
Wait a minute. I'm saying that if I can stop black men from kicking and shooting and stabbing and stomping black women and get them to just lightly tap us in the mouth, I will have saved a lot of lives and preserved a lot of families.
What kind of logic is that?
Well, they're not going to stop doing it completely. Now, let's deal with the reality of the statistics. You know, 40% of our women are brutalized. So I'm trying to get the men to stop doing that to us. The Red Cross suggests the same motion, and nobody's ever jumped on them. If a person gets hysterical, you slap them in the face. Bring them back around to reality. And I'm not even saying a hard slap. And let's go over that, because that's something that's confused all over the country. I'm so tired. That's the national anthem of black women. Now, at first I thought they were really upset, but I think it's been kind of a smoke screen. They're trying to use that to get black men not to read the rest of the book. Okay, this is what it says. If the black woman is brutalized repeatedly, the relationship will fail, and the black man will possibly be arrested and charged with cowardly abusing a woman. This is not the goal. Make no mistake about it. No black eyes, no punching in the stomach, the breast, no stomping, and no uppercuts. Analyzing the options available to the black man when the black woman's mouth, verbal abuse has been proven to be just as violent and harmful as physical abuse. When her mouth becomes uncontrollably disrespectful, they total only a few. He can walk away from her, leave the house, get drunk. We know men do that. He can go to his other woman and complain. He can quit the relationship, leave the woman. He can try to argue back and lose. Nobody can out-argue us, okay? Or he can seek counseling or sympathy from friends. Now, those are the only options any man has when a woman is running off at the mouth to him. Or he can offer her a sound, open-handed slap in the mouth. That doesn't go from point A to Z. There's a lot of other options in there that our men use. I'm just describing what happens. Ordinarily, when he gets to that point 6, it's not a slap. It's a brutal hit with a fist. I'm trying to stop him from doing that to us.
But
and I'm trying to get us to control it differently.
No kind of violence should be advocated.
Well, that's not advocating violence. The violence is already going on. I'm trying to stop it. I'm trying to put some controls on it.
Sherazade,
and that's something that people don't understand.
You are a mother.
Yes, I have 12 children.
How would you feel if your daughter called you at 2 a.m. in the morning and said, Mom, he hit me? Now, you're a mother now. You're a mother.
Well, I'm not emotional like that. I'd have to say what happened. Put him on the extension and let me find out what happened.
There are many women out there who would like to know, are you married?
Of course I'm married. Yeah, you know I'm being with a man. I'm not ashamed to say I need a man. No, I need a man. I'm one of those women. I have to have a man. I am not ashamed of that. My first husband died in 1985, unfortunately, of a heart attack. And I have a new husband now. And I've given the children to him, and we're raising them. And he's a very beautiful man. He's not afraid of me. He's not intimidated by me. And he knows me, and he has read the book. Okay? He is in agreement with my campaign. And all of my sons are in agreement with this. I have 7 sons, and they are very beautiful and very talented, and it's very interesting to see how, as a result of me teaching them differently, the girls that come there, they don't run the same game on them. You know, like they can't come into our house with the mini skirts on. Mm-hmm. They can't come in with the skin-tight clothes on.
You are Muslim, may I add that?
Oh, of course,
okay.
But I'm not teaching our people religion.
Okay.
They already failed that course. I wouldn't dare try to teach black people religion.
But does that influence the way you
Islam influences everything that goes on in the black community, because that's what we were before we were brought here as slaves. So yes, it certainly has influenced my life.
Can I jump
it's
back?
It's not a book on religion, and I don't bring it into it like that. Sure.
I want to jump back for just a moment. You said there are 3 kinds of black women. Where do you fall?
Probably somewhere, the categories overlap, probably between the 2, 3.
And how do you criticize yourself?
Well, as I said, I work every day to be a better wife, better mother, and I have not said I'm perfect. You know, I'm a victim of all of the things just like all of the rest of us are. And I don't say that all black women do everything in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything in the book, but all of us do some of them. And every time that we do them, then it serves to break up our relationship and run our men away from us, when that's not really what we want at all. We really want him to run toward us. But sometimes we function in such a way that makes him be outside looking for peace of mind with somebody else because we withhold the peace, because we're mad at him about something, you know. I go around trying to tell black women, if one of the things we can do for our men is just smile when we see him coming. You know? If you get with these ideas, the first thing it'll do is relax the muscles in your face. You won't be so uptight all the time. It'll make you beautiful.
What are you teaching your daughters regarding to this philosophy?
That to be able to judge things on an unemotional basis, to try to go by the actual facts of what is presented to you instead of how you feel about it. Our people in general have a problem distinguishing between actual fact and opinion, and we think we have an option to reject the truth based on how we feel about it. And the truth doesn't change just because we feel a certain way about it. It remains the truth. So I teach them that.
Is this book semi-autobiographical?
Oh, absolutely not. Excuse me. Absolutely not. No.
But doesn't the average person that write a book, there's a little bit of him somewhere in what
I'm the writer here. You the TV host, and writers do not do that. You can write about anything you want to. And the only thing I regret is that I didn't write the Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman Part 2, because there's some more. This is just all I put into one book. But I'm coming out with the Black Woman's Guide to Understand the Black Man in 1993, probably.
Well, I will tell you right now, there will be a lot of ladies.
Oh, yeah, we return money every day. They're trying to buy it already, but I don't have it ready.
The most profound question, perhaps, that I can ask you right now, do you believe in what you're writing, or are you a very astute businesswoman making a buck?
Well, I believe absolutely in what I'm writing. I wouldn't come out here and go through what I have to go through around the country every day, and I could be in a different city every day of the year. The demand is just that great. I read an article in Emerge magazine the other day. People have been writing in about my book as a result of an article they wrote a few months ago. And the editor put a note in the magazine, in the front of their magazine, that that's Emerge magazine now. That's supposed to be black people coming out and so forth. They put a paragraph in there that said, we have been still getting letters on Shahrazad Ali's book, The Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman, but we're not going to publish any more of them because we have decided that the book has made enough money. I thought that was the most ignorant remark. So I told my secretary, get him on the telephone. So I got that nigger on the phone. I said, has IBM made enough money? Has Nike, Reebok, AT&T? Why don't you go tell them people that they made enough money? You know, that's so silly that our people take an attitude of wanting to stifle someone else's success. The part that you mentioned in regard to me being a successful publisher and a female entrepreneur, absolutely. I have a great deal of insight about the publishing industry. I did this by myself. And you would think that somebody would want to do a story on that side, since obviously I know how to put together a successful project and carry it off into the second year now. But they don't want to deal with that, and they keep saying I've made enough money. And nobody even knows how much money I have made. They don't know what my responsibilities are. They do know I have 12 children. You know, but I thought that was such an ignorant remark for a black person to make when all of the people who are making money off of black people in our community, where it's not benefiting us at all, it's not helping us to grow or to change or to be better, and they never get addressed, they never get attacked, but they keep saying to me, you know, that I have made enough money, and they don't even know how much.
The irony in this is that you said you wish you could see more black women taking more interest in the home. Well, you are a businesswoman. You're traveling all the time. Who's cooking your husband dinner tonight? My husband travels with me a lot of the times. You all just don't know who he is because we can't let that out. No, he's with me a great deal of the time. I have a strong family, extended family structure. I have sisters, and my children are between the ages of 5 and 26. Now, if that 23, 24, and 25-year-old don't know how to take care of the children when I'm not there, then I have failed. But I haven't, because they do know how to carry on until I get back, you know. Have you met any one black woman that you do admire, who you think has done an excellent job?
I admire a lot of black women all of the time. Marva Collins. I just made a huge donation to the Marva Collins Preparatory School in Cincinnati in memory of my mother. I've donated to a lot of organizations around the country, you know, to help black children. Mostly that's what I do. I don't donate any money that's going to be used for administrative costs. I don't do that. But if it's going to go directly to the children, I do that. A lot of black women. You know, we've done, as I said, I represent that great strength that we have. I admire you for what you're doing. It takes a lot of courage to bring me in on a television show and let me just talk. A lot of people wouldn't do that, you know, and I wish you success in your career.
Thank you very much.
After I'm gone.
Shahrazad, do you have an opinion of the white woman?
Just that she's been an influence on us, and that not intentionally, she's just living her life. She didn't tell us to copy her, you know, but the way the society is set up, we have copied a lot of her ideas, and a lot of the standards she sets for the white man, we have tried to set them for the black man, except all of the things that are required for a man to have to meet those prerequisites, our men are kept from getting. You understand? So it's really a messed up situation, and so we make demands on our men that they just can't produce.
You've been on the talk show circuit for quite some time now.
10 months.
Do you find that even journalists and the highest degree have trouble remaining objective when they talk to you?
Yeah, most of them. In fact, what they do is on the newspaper interviews, they sit there and they're so nice. Oh, they're so wonderful. And then I leave town, and then I get a copy of the story in the mail. Oh, God, they roast me alive, you know.
You write some pretty powerful stuff. It must be hard to even go in an airport.
Well, sometimes. Well, it certainly has allowed me to be recognized. You know, people, because I wear these crowns, you know, they recognize me in a lot of places. But most of the time, which is a story which has never been told, there are so many black women who love me. There are so many black women who, in fact, next week I'll be going to Baltimore. And there's a group there called the Black Women's Consciousness Raising Organization or something. And it's a black women's group of 250 black women, professional women. They have invited me into their convention to be the keynote speaker.
May I
got black women all over the country who are in support of this project. In fact, I just gave that lecture in Miami, and the man who invited me in was 78 years old. He said he thought he'd never live to see the day that the truth was told about our women. You know, he's a 78-year-old black man who is still in business. He invited me in. Most of the people at the lecture were women. Most of the people who bought 2 and 3 books for their sons were women. Most of the people that bought books for their daughters who were getting married were women. You know, so it's been distorted of who actually is supporting this project. We have 30 million people out here. About 15 million of them have jobs. About 7 million of them can read or have disposable income to buy a book. And I haven't reached the market that I intend to reach in order to actually get this message to penetrate into our communities. The book being required reading is certainly going to help us to face some realities. Our young people want a different life. They don't want the failure that many of us have suffered. They have seen that this has not worked for many of us, and they want something different. They want to find out why they can't get along, why their mating techniques are failing for them, and why they're so frustrated, why there's so much game and nonsense in it. And this book will help them to do that.
Scheherazade Ali, it has been a pleasure, to have you today on our program. Can I just add something for just a moment? I had the opportunity to have lunch with you today.
Yes.
You are a very personable individual. You
Absolutely.
are sweet.
They just tried to make me a monster on television.
But can I say that if I didn't know about this book, on a first impression of you, I never would have thought you'd have written that.
Well, you may not have. Many of us have some talents that our larger communities can benefit from. You know, if I had met you somewhere, I might not have realized that you were a very popular and dedicated talk show host. I wouldn't have known that until you told me what you do. I believe that the message I'm trying to bring to my people is a message from God. I think that the only way our people get any message or information from God is through the people, and that this is a very important work I'm doing. This is not a game to me. It has a great emotional drain on me. People come against me with a lot of negative ideas. They come hard. They bring all the force that they have to bear, and I have to stand up under that.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I don't internalize it. I don't let it go in. I expected us to have an emotional reaction, and I know that when you have a revolution of social change, the first reaction is emotional, but those people settle down. And so if I have to be the brunt of that in order for them to get to a better life, in order for us to have a better child, then I just have to take that. And of course my own man has to absorb a lot of what I bring to him. Sometimes, every once in a while, somebody will get through and they'll say something that'll, just be so penetrating, say, wow, listen at that. But I just don't internalize it because I know that it's not me they really want to attack. They really want to just not have to take responsibility for their behavior. They don't want anyone to say that's wrong because most of the negative practices we have, we've been doing them so long, we think that they are right. And so we don't want anybody to come out and say, you're doing that wrong. And we certainly don't want our man to say, that's right, you are wrong.
Has this been worse, what you've had to go through, being accosted in airports and practically blessed out on television shows?
Anytime I'm accosted in the airport, it's because somebody wants an autograph or they want a book. I mean, I've had an entire basketball team in L.A., they want a book or they want an autograph, but it has not been negative. And certainly, as I said, we can always dwell on that one issue in the book that people tried to bring up that's negative about violence. As I have explained, that's not what I was trying to do. And that certainly keeps people from understanding the rest of the book, which is calling on us as black women to bring some of that backboning strength that we have, some of that monumental dedication to the black family back to making a family. A family is more than a woman and children. A family is a father and a mother and children.
You cannot deny, however, that there are many black women who have decided for whatever reason to go it alone and are successful in raising children who are not on
they're not
drugs.
Yes,
wait. Let me just make my point now. Who are sending their children to college, who run a good home.
I keep trying to explain that. Feeding and clothing and raising a child and making sure it's not on drugs and it goes to college, that doesn't guarantee that child any emotional success in their relationships in life. That just means they may be able to get a job. See, we have to look at even what the success standard is that we're talking about. That's not necessarily success. That doesn't guarantee us success. If we can raise up an emotionally stable child, one who knows how to carry on our black nation, who knows how to be a good mother and still perhaps contribute to the outside community. If we can raise up fathers who take responsibility for their children and who know that their presence in the home is a needed one if we are to survive, there are a lot of other things more important than us just getting a college education and a job. That does not guarantee the success of a nation. That guarantees a personal financial success, which is not the only thing that we need to revive our black nation.
Let's talk about the future just briefly. What's up next for you?
The video, The Black Man's Guide on Tour, which is coming out March the 20th. And hopefully by Christmas we'll have it completed. I'm working on a prototype of the Shahrazad doll. And the Shahrazad doll is going to be a little doll with a little lady with a little crown on. And she'll be holding a little black man's guide. And when you punch her on top of the crown, she'll give you a positive message. I love that. When I thought of that, I sat straight up in the bed. But she's going to do that, and I've been asked to come into the elementary schools more now. And so I'm starting to, as I said, if I could work every day of the year, there's a request for me to come out and talk to our people because they want some relief and they want some explanation. And most of our people are intelligent enough to know that just because of the popularity of this book, you know, our educational class has failed us because all of them together have never been able to bring one agenda to the forefront of our nation where all of the people are dealing with it, like this book has. The Black Man's Guide has succeeded in doing that. Our people are dealing with this all across the country, and it's becoming a crossover book. The white man says it's starting to help him with the white woman. So they're going to be in trouble, too. It's not just us anymore.
You will be going to Africa very soon.
Hopefully, Nelson Mandela called me, and he invited me to come there to Johannesburg. He says that they have a similar problem with the black women in South Africa, and that many of them try to marry into the white race because they think it provides them with better benefits than staying with their men who are suppressed, you know, under the apartheid system. And I have been invited to London, of course, where the book is becoming a bestseller. I've even been invited to Ireland. They don't even have no black people there, but they say they want me to come over there and talk to the white woman. You know, I mean, I haven't been, this is a global project now. I just can't go everywhere. I don't have the energy all the time, and I can't keep dragging my children and my own husband. You know, he's got some things he's doing that I, you know, I have to work with him on. And so, but I try to, who I want to work with actually is the black woman and the black man here in America where I live. That's where I'm really doing my major work. And if I go anyplace else, it'll probably just be live remote television, you know, to someplace else, but I don't know if I'm going to really have the time to travel to those other places.
Did you know when you wrote this book that it would take off like this?
I suspected it would. It's new information. We've never had it. This is brand new information, and no matter what anybody else ever writes about relationships, this is going to be the standard by which it will be judged.
I want to talk just a moment about something that I saw recently on television. Everybody has taken the opportunity to make their poke at you.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see, by chance, the skit that was done on In Living Color?
Yes, I saw it.
What did you think about that?
Well, you know, the phone started ringing off the hook. People were calling me from all over the country to tell me, did you see Living Color? And nobody knew how to react, you know, because they didn't know what my reaction would be, and they didn't know if I was going to go off, you know. I can walk around with a loaded gun sometimes, so they didn't know, you know, if it was going to be, you know. So I thought that was hysterical. That was the funniest thing I have ever seen, and it was a compliment because they could not have done that and been successful if they hadn't assumed that everyone, first of all, knew who I was familiar with the book. So, you know, that was excellent penetration, I felt, of the media. I had reached some goals. And I called him to thank him and told him that I wasn't angry. He wasn't sure if I was or not, but I just thanked him and I sent him an autographed copy of the book. That's all I did. But I thought they had me down pat, I have to say.
Even your family thought so?
Yeah, my son said, Mama, it was just like you. So we taped it, you know, and we have, it's been on a couple of times since they aired it because of demand. And we have it at home, and it's certainly one that we get out a lot of times when company comes if they didn't see it, and we play it because it was so funny. But it was just a takeoff, and so many people have been able to earn money. You know, this book has put the black bookstore on the map. It has allowed a lot of black bookstores to open up other branches of their bookstores. A lot of people have testified that they have bought cars, put their children into the first year of college. This is one book, you know. We can't ignore the economic base that this book has put into the black community. The first 6 months it was out, I only allowed it to be sold in black bookstores. But then as I did more national television shows, we didn't have enough bookstores to carry it that were in the mainstream of cities, and so I started allowing B. Dalton and Walden and Encore and all of the other chains to carry it. But it has done a great deal for the black community in regard to being an economic base. And I would think black people would be happy to have something else to sell other than Avon and Tupperware. Since those are not our products, you know.
Let's just briefly, we're just about out of time, but I would like you to leave us here in Tallahassee, Florida, and the surrounding areas, the surrounding counties that can watch this program. What are some words of advice or wisdom or according to Shahrazad Ali?
Just the only wisdom that I can leave you is the information that's already recorded in most of our holy books, and that's that God made the man and woman to be together in unity. And so it is impossible for us as black women to attend church and say that we love and worship God when we disrespect our own man, who is in the image of God, because God is a man. And our men may be the closest representative of that kind of masculinity of God that we ever meet. And that we should stop using our children to punish our men. We should stop disrespecting our men in front of our children. Sometimes we talk badly about them. It makes the child get a different idea about the father just because of our personal relationship. And that we should start trying to be a little bit more patient, tolerant, and courteous. And those are some attributes that we have kind of gotten away from because we're on this speed thing of trying to make a living. And as I said, I'm not saying that he's right, but if we become better women, he's got to become a better man.
Shahrazad Ali, thank you so much. This has been a very interesting
this. I know your people are going to love this. Nobody ever gets to hear me talk this much. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Vibration.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
That's our show for this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That's it. What do you call it? Coup de grace. The absolute it right there. If you don't have that book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, get your copy of that. And then she's already put out The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Get your copy of that. And in my personal opinion, these books are not something to just read. These books are to read and take action to make the necessary changes in your relationship with the person that you're trying to be with. The word guide is right there. The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, and the Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. There it is in a nutshell. This was put out for our people. Now remember, I told you I don't know about you, but me personally, I look at it like this. I see squirrels with squirrels. I see rabbits with rabbits. I see lions with lions. I see blackbirds with blackbirds. I see bluebirds with black bluebirds. Everybody is with who is supposed to be with. But now when it comes to us, people, some kind of way, we come to the conclusion that, well, you know, God said, no, don't bring that in there. Just, we're going to deal with this in a raw, butt naked. Brothers, the sisters was tailor-made for you. Only you. Nobody else. No squirrels, no rabbits, no pigeons, no somebody masquerading as you, none of that. This was created for you. tailor-made. Now, one day I was on this national chat forum, and there was a white guy on there. He said that he had just got married to a sister. I said, okay, well, that's interesting. So I asked him, I say, you how many black children do your wife have? Well, she doesn't have any children. I said, well, I know you can't wait to get you some new black babies. She said, no, I don't want that. I said, you don't want that. I said, well, how does she feel about you reading the newspaper and constantly looking at the UV index all the time? What do you think about that? He told me to kiss his so-and-so, and he'll have me thrown off the chat and all this right here. But you married, you a pigeon, well, you married a bluebird. What about that? I'll have you thrown off the chat forum for this right here. I said, are you in love with your wife? I married her, didn't I? That wasn't the answer I was looking for. I asked you, did you love your wife? I'm not talking to you anymore. And it is amazing to me. I have seen this situation, and it seems to me, and I look at when I see what the women are with and what the men are with, I look at them and they have this expression on their face like, I have finally, I have arrived. And I'm trying to figure out where, how, with what. Now, this ain't racist. No, I can't be a racist. I can only react to racism, but I can't be racist. I just can't be. But what I'm looking at, and I try to figure out what happened. What is it that got into your head about going somewhere out of your species to get something else? What makes that you think that? Because I had a woman one time, and she told me, she said, I work on this job on the company, and he said, I'm one of his best workers because everybody else, they work and stuff, and they get off of work. I stay there, and I finish, I clean up, and start prepping and stuff for tomorrow because it makes my job easier. I said, okay, that's fine. But when we get to work and he want me to hang around and sit down with him and, and just have a cold beer, I said, I said, don't do that. I said, because if you do, and he try to go to bed with you and you refuse, he gonna call you the N-word. Sure enough, she come home, she said, you know what? You was right. So he started talking about, we started having a beer together. He started talking about me and him going to another level. I said, well, what did you say? You say, I told him I already have a man. I love my man. Me and my man having a good time. We enjoy life, and I look forward to coming home to my man every day. And but I don't date anybody other than my man. He got mad and called me the N-word. I said, didn't I tell you not to start drinking with him? And I'm curious to know how the sisters that are married to these men outside their race, how they gonna respond when they call them the N-word? You gonna let that go? You gonna how you gonna handle that? What you gonna do about that? Well, we're gonna take another little quick break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to go. Okay, everybody, October the 26th, right here in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida, the Black Vegan Fest will take place. Live bands, live entertainment, professional chefs will teach you how to cook healthy.
If you are a vendor, go to www.urbangeoponics.org and sign up. Bring your fishing gear with you. If you're a fisherman, we got the river right in the back of the property. We'll teach you how to grow your own food, teach your children how to do the same thing. You'll learn how to prepare meals healthy. There'll be fun and games for the whole family. October the 26th, the Black Vegan Fest right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Don't miss it. Make sure you got some cash with you because vendors will be on hand and they'll be selling their wares. October the 26th, the Black Vegan Fest right here, Jacksonville, Florida. Don't miss it. Be here.
Okay. Whatever you do, make sure you're here. And I want to add something else on that. All your heavyweights, your brothers that and sisters that be on YouTube and doing the videos and the blog talk shows and stuff, they will be here too. We have more than one professional chef. I think we got a whole boatload of vendors. And if you want to be one, you can go to urbangeoponics.org and you can get in touch with Brother Diallo Sakua. Vegan Fest he got it right there on Facebook. You can go over there, get in touch with the brother, and it's gonna be a grand time right here in Jacksonville, Florida on October the 26th. Whatever you do, put it on your calendar. Make sure you're down here with us so we can have some fun this time. And one more time, because we've done the the Morris Summit, and we have brothers from all over, Red Pill, Blue Pill down here, Brother Yusuf El was down here, Taj Tariq Bey was down here, I was there, Diallo was there, and we had a lot of other brothers that was down here. Man, we had a ball. I tried to feed everybody myself, but I couldn't do it. It was too many people, but we sure put a dent in everything. But nevertheless, we're going to have a good time. Make sure that you have your face in the place. We'll be on the north side. The property, the river is right on the outside property. And so bring your fishing pole, your reeling rod, your cooler, your chairs, your tent? Not tent, but well, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, bring your stuff, and so we can all enjoy ourselves. October the 26th, right here in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida. But nevertheless, we come to the close of the broadcast. I've been your host, Tarhaka On Our Relationships. Until next time, y'all have a good evening.
Many a tear has to fall, but it's all in the game. All in the wonderful game that we know is love. You had words with him, and your future looking kind of dim, but these things your heart can rise above. Once in a while he won't call, but it's all in the game. Soon he'll be there at your side with a sweet bouquet. Then he'll kiss your lips and caress your waiting fingertips, and your heart will fly away. Come on, sing it now. Oh yeah. Then he'll kiss your lips and caress your waiting fingertips,
it takes to be iconic. You are iconic. I am iconic. I love Iconic Agua. I drink Iconic Agua every day. Join the movement. Hydrate with Iconic Agua. Find Iconic Agua in all Kroger and Ralph stores across America. Because when you're thirsty, there's only one way to hydrate, and that's with the world's best tasting spring water on earth. Hydrate responsibly. Iconic Agua, where hydration meets greatness.
There's no way to prepare for the impact an accident makes on your life. That's why we've spent 40 years getting ready for that moment when you need compassion and immediate action. The right doctors, investigators, our team of experienced attorneys, and your free consultation is already in place. So if you've been hurt, remember, the Farah Safety Net is right here to catch you. All you have to do is call Farah and Farah. It's what we built. Jacksonville.